My cousin said my necklace is unholy, but I refuse to remove it.
Don't remove it.
Keep it on. By the way, trigger warning, this does have the mention of the word grape. May 17th, 2025. So there is an argument ensuing in my family right now regarding my necklace. I find it to be a pointless argument, but with the way some of my relatives have been acting, I've been curious if I am the a-hole about it.
Let's see. I'm also very curious what this necklace is.
Oh, true. Sam is a fan of necklaces.
I am.
By the way, this comes from Additional Effort 222, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, for a little bit of context, I am a Hellenist pagan. Riley, could we get some info on
what is that?
What that is?
You got it. The internet info?
The Hellenist pagan.
I will look that up.
For those who don't know what it is, oh, okay, I guess we're getting this. In short terms,
you're welcome.
I worship the Greek pantheon while following pagan practices. This is where my necklace comes into play.
Wait, so you're praying to Zeus and Poseidon?
I think so. Riley, if you can add some context on that, yeah.
Let's freaking go. I was a fan of Percy Jackson too, so.
I mean, the Greek gods are like, it's lit, you know. It's a cool storyline. It's the Avengers.
It's dude, it's sick. Hey, you know what? I'm not gonna yuck anyone's yum. I would kind of be down.
Plus pagan, that's like where you just get freaking crazy, right?
Yeah. You go around a bonfire, yelling stuff. Yeah,
that's a cult.
No, it's pagan ritual. It's lit.
I wear a necklace with an obsidian stone wrapped in a wire. The wire is mended around the stone to look like a pentacle. A pagan symbol that represents the 5 elements, but it's often confused for a pentagram, which that I believe is the evil, the star. Riley, you would know that, right? It's like the star of evil, the summon.
It's something with like, I think like 6 points is like a devil symbol, something like that. Yeah.
Now I wear this necklace all day, every day. The times I don't are when I'm sleeping or showering, but now on to the dilemma. The other day, my uncle hosted a barbecue and invited my dad along with my brother and me. Was Satan also invited? That is the question. Where's his invite?
Where's Poseidon's invite?
Where's Poseidon's invite, dude?
Right. Where's Percy Jackson's invite?
Let's get the whole, dude, the hell cookout.
Dude, that would be, yeah. Hades cookout, actually, if we're going Olympian.
Hot wings from hell, baby. Everything was going well, and I was talking with some of my cousins when a cousin I'm going to refer to as Heather noticed my necklace. Heather made a comment about my necklace, saying it was bold to wear such an unholy symbol, knowing most of the family follows the Bible. I shrugged this off. It wasn't the first time someone had made comments like this regarding my religion in the past. I told her it was fine and no one should care. She kept pushing, saying that I should take it off since it was disrespectful to those who followed God, since a pentagram was a symbol of the devil.
All right, and here's OP coming in. It's not a pentagram. It's a whatever thing.
It's
Hellenist. Yeah, it's that thing.
Penta.
It's a whatever, pentacle. A pentacle.
Pentacle, yeah. Dude, nice memory. I told her I didn't think so. Since my necklace wasn't a pentagram, I told her to let it go. It wasn't that big of an issue. Heather argued that if it wasn't that big of an issue, I should take the dang necklace off. So at this point, other relatives were starting to look over at us while my other cousins told me to just take the necklace off so Heather would shut up. I again refused, seeing how if they could wear their crosses, then I could wear my pentacle. There was a bit more back and forth with some not nice comments regarding my beliefs before Heather finally dropped the subject.
I'm curious, is OP an actual like believer in Poseidon, or is this like I'm curious if it's like a belief or just like, you know, like, oh, like this is like a cool lifestyle thing. I'm really interested in Greek.
What's the
mythology,
word, producer Riley?
Or like I am.
So Hellenist paganism is you worship the ancient Greek gods like Zeus, Hera, Apollo, often through rituals, offerings, and festivals. It's about honoring the divine, cultivating virtues, and sometimes connecting with ancestors.
I'm curious how many people are still
following this.
Yeah, following this, because I mean, it was big in Roman and Greek times, right? But let's see.
From what I can gather, I think OP actually like does believe in them and like worship them.
OP's like doing ritual sacrifices of cows to the gods.
Yeah,
kind of that vibe.
Could we also get what a pentacle looks like?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how close is it?
So a pentacle is your necklace symbol. It is in a pentagram, but it is a symbol representing the 5 elements: spirit, earth, air, fire, and water. The circle around it signifies wholeness and balance. It is also.
Can we get a picture though?
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Because I guess it has like 5 and 6 points, but it's like, yeah, I guess 5 points. I would mistake it for a pentagram. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah,
that's a tough one.
Yeah,
that's tough.
one.
I would
That's
totally.
a tough one.
Yeah.
Dude, a pentagram and a pentacle necklace look very similar. A pentagram is an upside down.
It's upside down. Well, it looks like the pentacle has like a circle around it, and the pentagram does not have a circle around it.
Look at pentagram necklace, like Satan. But let's get back into this story and see what kind of ruckus OP causes.
The rest of the afternoon was kind of soured, and a few of her relatives were giving me dirty looks. I thought that was the end of it. That was until I got home. I immediately got a text from several of my relatives saying I was an a-hole, saying I could have just removed the stupid necklace. I agreed that I could have, but I didn't want to. My necklace gave me comfort and made me feel more connected to deities and practices. Apparently, this upset some people because my aunt, Heather's mom, just replied, "What's it matter anyways? It's not like your gods are real. It's just a piece of useless jewelry."
Oof.
Auntie Heather's mom, what are you doing?
I don't think you can ever say someone's gods aren't real.
Yeah, that's
Prove
a
it.
no-go. Yeah, prove it.
Have your god fight my god.
Yes, that would be epic. This one hurt a lot because I have always been very respectful and open to everyone's beliefs, even if they don't align with mine. So seeing someone disregard something so meaningful to me hurt me. When I asked my dad about it, he said he didn't understand what Heather's issue was, but I could have taken the necklace off instead of arguing with her. It's been a day or two, and this got me thinking. I could have just taken off my necklace to keep the peace instead of digging my heels in the sand until it was high tide. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to take off the necklace even after my cousin asked me to? And quick edit to add, one of the reasons they were so bothered is because I was raised in a church until I was 13 and started refusing to go. They saw it as me turning my back on God, especially since I was atheist for a few years before turning agnostic, then finding my current practices. And yes, I know paganism technically isn't a religion, but on top of being a pagan, I'm also a Hellenist, but I shortened it to pagan because that's where the symbol I was wearing derived from. While the fact that I'm a pagan does annoy them, it's my Hellenism that causes all the animosity, since they believe my gods, especially the few I'm fully devoted to, are just myths who do terrible things. So to answer the question, was OP the a-hole for wearing the necklace?
I think,
first off,
I think a good way to look at this is like if OP was wearing a necklace of another religion, like let's say like a more mainstream religion. If OP was wearing a Jewish necklace and was talking about like Judaism, and I know those aren't the same thing, but like
they still be this offended.
Yeah, like, and they were offended, like, oh, take that necklace off, like the way you worship your God is like not real or whatever. Like, would they be the a-hole or would OP be the a-hole? I think they would be the a-hole.
Yeah. And I feel like the rule of thumb here is like, as long as you're not hurting anybody with what you're doing, you gotta let people be. Like, for instance, if I was a punch in the face-inist, which is the strong belief that I have to deck anyone I meet for the first time as a worship to, the guy upstairs. Yep. Well, then I'm freaking decking people in the face, and now I'm the a-hole.
That's an a-hole move. But if you believe that, as a punch in the face-inist,
yes,
that one day all those who transgress you will be punched in the face, and you just wear a fist, and that's just what you believe. But you're not punching anyone in the face. Hey, we're fine.
Chilling.
We're fine. We're chilling.
The one thing I will, I guess critique, you could say, that I would give to OP is like when Heather initially asked, he just kind of like shrugged it off, essentially, when he could have been like, oh no, like this is what I believe. I know it's like similar. I get the confusion. Because if it was like, there's some other symbols out there that if they look similar to that, like if it was like, looked like a swastika or something, or like swastika is a Hindu symbol, for example.
Yeah, you could be wearing a Hindu symbol on your neck and it'd be it would be like, oh, why are you wearing a swastika? No, it's like a Hindu symbol.
Totally misconstrued,
I was
right?
so confused when we went to Bali for the first time.
Yeah.
Because they were everywhere. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So I feel like OP could have, if he had just explained it to Heather and then also the people around kind of understood, then at least the group could be like, oh yeah, like that's his thing, like that's his belief, let's not bother him. Yeah.
So in conclusion, OP not the a-hole.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the consensus on the story was also not the a-hole. So they agree with us. Commenters tell OP to take off their necklace once her family removed all their religious paraphernalia. Okay, interesting. So I guess also part of the consensus was like, take off the necklace because when they also remove their religious materials, which
I'm curious what OP responds.
Yes. But there are some comments from OP, speaking of, if they'd also insist on a Jewish or Buddhist person to take off their religious necklace. To be honest, I'm not sure. I don't have any Jewish, Hindu, or Buddhist relatives. Only a friend who's curious about being a Buddhist, which only my dad and brother have met, but religion didn't come up. On another topic, somebody says she should gift Heather the same necklace. So like, buy one for her.
Since you were asking so much about it.
Yeah, dude, I wanted to, give you, hey, it's nice. I got your favorite stone in it or whatever.
You want me to take it off because you want to wear it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't want to take it off, but I'll get you one.
Opie says she'd probably flip her crap, but by the gods, would that be funny?
Clutch her pearls so quickly.
Dude, by the gods is so great.
Yeah, by the gods is great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. They think my necklace looks like a pentagram, and that's what they don't like about it. Even if I tell them there's a small yet distinct difference between a pentacle and a pentagram, they tell me it's the same thing.
Which again would be like, someone wearing a swastika and it being like
as a Hindu
symbol, right? Yeah,
and totally like the context of all that stuff. The only thing I could think of that would draw attention to it is my fidgeting. I tend to wear lots of jewelry, rings, bracelets, and at least 2 necklaces of different lengths since I use fidgeting as a way to stim. Also, why did I picture Dakota as soon as they said lots of rings? Unfortunately, my family has a lifelong subscription to not minding their own dang business. And let me tell you, it's the premium. No ads. In my beliefs, the pentacle is a protective symbol that represents the elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, along with the sacred feminine and a connection to the divine, like the goddess Venus or Hecate. Why am I mispronouncing that so terribly? But unfortunately, most of my family only know what the media tells them, which is a star in a circle equals devil worship. They care because I left the church when I was 13 and remained agnostic until I was 17 before I started worshiping the Greek pantheon. They wanted me to follow the Bible and not the gods I currently follow. But Hellenism is a religion. I am a Hellenist who follows pagan beliefs. Instead of constantly saying Hellenist pagan, I shortened it to pagan since that's where the symbol I was wearing came from. And besides my necklace, the only other pieces of jewelry related to my practices that I have are laurels and some symbols pertaining to specific gods I worshipped. No pentacles, though. What's a laurel?
Also, Tempest has a great thought. By that logic, an upside down cross is the same as a cross, which is not. The Catholics will go insane if you try to say that.
Oh, so like an upside down, pentacle, which is just a pentagram, is also, so maybe it is more akin to the swastika example of like, it's the same symbol, but it was like used in a completely different context.
Yeah. Or like the Star of David has 6 points, and then the pentagram has only 5.
Right, so it's like looks similar, but yeah. Another point, someone said to tell them their necklace represents a judgy guy in the sky. So I guess, put a comical spin on it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to stoop to their level since I have several gods that sit on a mountain and judge everyone. It would be really hypocritical of me. I would have left, but I didn't drive there. My dad did, and it would have been over an hour walk back to my house. And we have an update. Here's my question. Does OP do anything further? Does he reach out kind of preemptively to avoid any more fallouts and be able to do just wear what OP wants? Or should OP kind of just continue living their life?
I don't think it's OP's job to preemptively educate his family, but I do think in not doing so and going into a religious context, or going into a group of people that have this religious context, you might run into problems like this. So if you're not doing some kind of education, you might just have a little bit more drama. But you're not the a-hole for not educating people. It's just
totally.
You might run into uneducated people.
Yeah, I feel like you don't have to preemptively do it. Maybe if it comes up again, it's take the time to be okay, here's what it is. Because in fairness, someone recognizing it as a pentagram, which as we saw looking at it, it's very, very looks very similar. Yeah. I feel like that would be able to like at that point, it's super clear that it's like, okay, OP's not the a-hole.
Yeah.
You've given him the full education and they're still crapping on you.
Yeah.
But we have an update 6 days later.
Okay.
So hello, everyone. I posted here a few days ago regarding the family drama around my necklace. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. I got a few comments requesting an update, so here it is. A day or two ago, I finally worked up the courage to actually call my cousin, who I've referred to as Heather for this. So it looks like OP is going on the offensive and is going for the proactive approach. Surprisingly, she was very calm during our discussion, so I took the chance and asked her why she got so upset about my necklace. I asked if she was that deep in her own religion that she hated mine, and she was clearly annoyed and told me to drop it. I told her no, I wanted an answer. Turns out she didn't care about the necklace. She cared about what it represents. When I asked her to clarify what she meant by that, she told me that she could care less about the paganism, but what she had a problem with was my Hellenism, more specifically, the gods I worship, which I feel like brings Heather into even more a-hole territory where it's like, okay, now you're like...
You understand
and you're bashing the religion because of like, basically, again, because of a personal thing that doesn't affect anyone else.
Yeah.
It's like, this is just OP's personal belief. For context, I am a devotee of several of the Greek gods, a few of which being Lord Zeus and Lord Apollo.
Shout out Zeus.
So OP does, specifically...
Dude, man in the cloud.
Man in the cloud. What was Apollo?
Lightning, Apollo was, I believe, like he had like a bow, god of like wisdom and the moon and stuff, right?
That sounds accurate.
Yeah, there's his bow.
Oh, I thought he was just doing the old flex.
Yeah,
it just happens to work perfectly.
Is it the sun god or is it? Yeah, maybe Apollo is.
Oh, he
sun
do be looking pretty sunny,
and not moon. I was thinking. Let's see.
God of sun, light, music, healing, prophecy, and archery.
Let's spread those around a little bit. He's freaking hogging all the archery, music, and the sun. That's a little OD.
He's got a lot. He's a guy. Is he the guy that has the chariots that pull the sun? I think so.
That also sounds accurate.
Yeah.
She brought up how at the barbecue, when everyone was talking about the storms we were having, I made a joke saying, looks like Zeus is finally giving us a break, while I was fidgeting with my necklace. To say I was surprised was an understatement. I was sure that she was just being a quote unquote loving Christian, and I truly thought it was an issue with changing religions. I think what Opie is suggesting is she thinks that he was doing some kind of ritual or something like...
Oh, also OP's she.
Oh, she. Yeah, sorry. That she was doing some sort of ritual with it
like
to
spell.
Summon,
the demons.
Or, the gods for rain or whatever. Nina Nilsson says that's just a mainstream joke, which I think is what OP was meaning it as. So I asked why she didn't like my gods. This is when she started getting upset again. She snapped at me saying it was obvious why she didn't like my gods and asked how someone who'd had bad experiences in the past can support gods who were known for being cheaters, womanizers, and grapists. She told me that I was a traitor as a woman and a horrible person for worshiping someone like that.
The Greek gods do be philandering.
I didn't realize how philanderous they were.
They are dude. They're going down every few years to knock up some human. They have like a bunch of demi babies. They are. Yeah, the Greek mythology is philanderous.
I think I was reading from the Florida patriotic textbooks.
Oh no! Zeus was slang and wang, and also they're just also very violent too.
Right.
It's actually funny that we're taking a feminist approach to. Well, I was not expecting Heather to be like, well, I mean, your gods aren't feminists,
right? Yeah, dude. Let's get more progressive over here.
Especially Zeus. Onion says, especially Zeus. I mean, you're not. Elena says Zeus is the OG boy.
That's funny.
Yeah, dude. F boy.
Oh man.
Yeah. Also, maybe says also Sweet Home Alabama, and there's a lot of inbreeding,
a lot of brotherly and sisterly love.
Yep.
If you catch our drift.
Yeah.
Well, Opie says my flabbers were gasted. I took a few seconds to calm down and take a deep breath before I explained to her that the gods were portals of how things were during that time of worship. Ancient Greece wasn't very good to women, so that was reflected in the gods. By the way, if you want a ungodly amount of content for you to consume at your leisure, go to Spotify, Apple, or iHeart and search OK Storytime. Guys, we got over 2,100 episodes on the pod. So check it out. We've got tons of stories, fun ones just like this. But before we get into the end, there's a little bit left here.
I was not expecting it.
This was a curveball of the story. We don't usually get these kind of curveballs here.
I do think that Heather's right. Zeus was not a feminist.
Yeah. If we're getting into this theological debate here,
I mean, like any pagans in the chat, pipe up. But like,
actually,
I guess the response is like it was the gods were a reflection of the time, which wasn't that kind to women.
Was
but
slanderous.
Like, I mean, like, can you judge a man or a god for their past? I guess that is a question.
We got into a deep theology today. Forget relationships.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you can still judge Zeus if he was making nasty. But I'm glad he's changed. If that's what's happened.
There we go. Maybe this is the distinction here. To like the actual thing to deal with Heather is like, hey, you can have an opinion on the religion, but I feel like Heather brings it into a personal attack or like stopping OP from like wearing their necklace that brings them comfort. Like, it's a gray area, obviously, but like,
I also, just as a rule, you're never gonna win by criticizing someone's religion. Like, the best way to get someone to follow your belief system is to like live it so well that they're like, well, dang, why is your life so good? And you're like, well, it's because of Zeus. Like then maybe you can, or it's because of Jesus, or like whatever your belief system might be. And I think Heather is going around it the wrong way.
Are you telling me that it's not a good idea to convert to pester your other family members at the family barbecue? Is that what you're telling me?
That's how Jesus did it. He wasn't like, oh, like, let me live the life. He was like, please believe me.
Please do it.
Please. No.
And it worked.
That is not how he did it,
bro. Jesus pulled him to the cookout. He's like, yo, I got fish. I got wine. What are we doing? Jesus throwing a cookout, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Are we ready for this grand finale here? She just got annoyed with me, saying that it didn't make what people believe the Greek gods did right. I just said I understood her view on things, but I asked her to not disrespect my gods, even if they have done some bad things in the myths and portraits, especially since her god is no saint either. That clearly upset her. Yeah, here we go. And she hung up on me. Not before telling me my gods were worse. That hurt a lot more than anything else she'd said before. While I understand how someone who's only heard the bad about the gods could find it vexing that they could have devotees, I will admit after the call with my cousins, I went to the altar and left some food offerings as an apology before going to bed, although I didn't sleep much due to what my cousin said.
Wait, went to the altar?
Went to the altar.
They get
the Hellenist.
Well, yeah, but where are there just Hellenist altars around?
Pull up.
No way there's a Hellenist altar where
sometimes people put them in their house.
Okay, yeah, I can imagine that. But if there's like a public Hellenist altar where I can like smoke an ox or something, like
Riley, please find the nearest pagan/Hellenist altar to where we can go to right now.
That would be sick.
This is a bit of a weird update, and it wasn't what I was expecting, but now I know she doesn't care what I choose to worship, but who. Thank you for all who chose to support me on my last post. Hope this sheds some light on the situation. And that is that for that story. But we have another one coming up.
My wife is a pet hoarder. She got CPS called on us because of it. I'm going to go on a limb and say OP, who is the husband, not the a-hole.
I am going to say that OP is the a-hole, and this is hard mode, and I have to defend OP.
It's 6 a.m., and the roosters have been crowing nonstop for the last 2 hours in our sunroom adjacent to our bedroom. I'm now sitting in the basement as flies swarm around me, and I've given up swatting them because there's too many to bother. By the way, this comes from user not animal person on the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, the basement is the area of the house with the least amount of flies. On top of the rooster noise is the cackle of male quail that reside in our living room. They live in the base of 3 cages that are filled with budgies and cockatiel. And budgies, that's Australian for parrot or parakeets. When I wake up, I remember to put on my slippers and I hope I get to them before stepping in dog urine or fresh dog crap. Our carpet in our master bedroom is saturated with dog urine with many spots that haven't dried out yet. Yesterday, my wife bought our daughter a new tortoise and a frog. The tortoise will be added to the aquarium with our bearded dragon. The bearded dragon, which is often free to roam the house because my wife feels like it will be happier. It is free to poop on our furniture or floor or where it was left last. As I sit here in my basement, the one place where I do not allow any pets, I'm listening to a rabbit thumping its paws on the floor above me, or it's the sound of it biting and ripping apart our wall or furniture. I'm not sure which noise it is, but I really don't care anymore. We have at least 6 rabbits. Their little claws make a loud scraping and tapping noise as they scurry and hop across our laminate floors. The main level of our home is littered in rabbit droppings. The droppings get pushed to the side as our 4 children and us inadvertently kick them around while walking through the main level of our home. The dogs won't likely get let out this morning to go to the bathroom. The smaller dog doesn't even obey the command to go out anymore. He just stares at you confused by your directive. If he does go outside, he just comes back in to find a place to crap and pee in one of our bedrooms. Our backyard doesn't have much dog crap because it's mostly in our bedrooms. It will stay there for days on end because there's no expectation that it shouldn't be there. The new smell from the giant rug I bought for the basement has worn off. It smelled like glue and dye, and it drowned out the odors from the dozen chicken that reside in our family and living room. They live in a couple 36-inch fabric pop-up enclosures filled with pine shavings. It is saturated with chicken crap and urine and has soaked into our oak hardwood floors, permanently damaging them. The stench is eye-watering. We have a lot of feathered friends here. In our master bedroom, there are 3 more cages with a variety of exotic birds that sing loudly all day long and leave a permanent mess of seeds on the floor around the cages. They are free to roam, and so our room has droppings along our bed's headboard, on our pillows, along the sides of the doors where they perch, in our bathroom mirrors, and down our shower curtains. Our sunroom has 30-plus chickens, and about 8 or 10 of them are roosters, and the roosters crow all day. This is where the flies breed. They come in through the 40-year-old sliding door that is often left open. This door separates the sunroom from our living area and our kitchen. The flies swarm in at any given time. There are dozens of flies in our living space. The heat and humidity bake the sunroom floor, which is covered in chicken crap and urine, and the odor spreads through the house. Do you have anything to say, Riley?
He's just not cleaning. Like, yeah, there are a lot of animals, but you need to take initiative.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Our house is in a suburban neighborhood. We do not live on a farm. In addition to these animals, we have 2 pet rats. They are sweet, but as you would expect, their cage is not well maintained and it stinks 90% of the time. Our boys' room has a snake and axolotl aquarium. One of our daughters has an algae-covered fish aquarium that we fill with water whenever we hear the filter screech because the water has evaporated too low. She also has an unkept cage with a hamster that is rarely played with. This is really hard to be on hard mode right now for this story, guys.
You picked your side. You won.
We have to pick this side. Right now, I'm listening to the mice eat through the foam board insulation in my basement. I want to get rid of them, but it's challenging with all the access to feed throughout the house. They seem to be breeding and entering through the home and at a faster pace than they can be exterminated.
Like
so 2 rats are now an unknown number of rats. And again, OP is just busy with work. I am not a pet person, and this life is driving me nuts. My wife is a pet hoarder and has ADHD. Our backyard is a ghost town full of quail cages from last year when she was really into quail breeding, and we had over 150 living in our backyard. Now there remains broken and half-built cages and mounds of shavings and wood chips that she intended to use as bedding. Scattered in random places in our backyard are household garbage bags of chicken crap. When you try to lift them, they fall apart because they weigh 30 to 40 pounds and the bags have deteriorated from the sun. When challenged, she seems to delight in the frustration it causes causes me because she is not happy in our marriage. It seems that accumulating animals is bringing her little bits of dopamine with each acquisition. I'm tired of living like this and I don't know what to do. Our children think this behavior is acceptable and they often chide at me for not being on board with the animals. They say I'm not a pet person. It's true that I'm actually not a pet person. But what we have going on here is irresponsible, unsanitary, and illegal. This is pet cruelty and normalizing neglect of animals. And we have an edit. And yeah, everything OP just said right there is 100% accurate.
Yep, you are neglecting animals.
No! His wife keeps confiscating animals from the world and neglects them. People think this is a fake post, but it's real. I'm not uploading pics for privacy, but it's genuine. Yeah. I wrote it in this style just to express everything because it's distressing and aggravating, and I haven't expressed it to anyone. See, OP is just an artist. OP is expressing himself via prose.
Yeah.
Which, do you even know what prose is?
Go ahead.
That's what I thought.
Go ahead, explain it.
No,
I know what it is. I just want to see what your point of view is.
Sometimes we have to teach ourselves things, Riley.
Go ahead. Explain
Sometimes we have to teach ourselves what things are.
Stop making me laugh.
I am seriously here asking for advice. It slipped out of my control. The amount of pushback from my wife when I address the problems create a lot of tension and distress the children. Yeah, Riley, think of the children, which you're not doing. She just keeps bringing home animals. The last time I threatened to rehome the chickens that she was keeping in the house, she became extremely angry and combative. She rehomed them, but not after a slew of insults and claiming I was being totally unreasonable. Then she just slips back into the same behaviors because she never believed it was a problem in the first place. We've had company come over to our house, but no one has called CPS or animal control yet. Seeing all these reactions has me realizing just how bad it is from an outside perspective, and a CPS call is a serious possibility, and that is terrifying.
Go ahead and call CPS because you're going to shoot yourself in the foot because this is your house that you have let this happen to.
Maybe he's too busy doing secret missions to keep CPS from exploding their family.
He just said he's going to call CPS.
No, he said someone might, and it's very scary, which is why he's constantly working.
Because that's why he's not going to take pictures.
He's constantly working on the low, and OP's done nothing wrong.
And you know it. It's okay.
OP did nothing wrong except he married the wrong woman.
No, OP had a choice to marry someone, he married her, and he did the wrong thing by not actually giving anything to this relationship.
Well, update number 1. Some of you may remember my post venting and looking for advice on what to do in regards to an extreme animal hoarding situation with my wife. Dozens of chickens residing in the home and a variety of animals roaming outside of cages in the home, feces, and a rampant mice infestation. After posting, I sought therapy and started getting my bearings straightened out in the midst of setting firm boundaries and beginning the work to clean up literally 2 tons of chicken crap, sand, and pine shavings, and resolving the rodent problem. A call to CPS was made by a third party and an investigation ensued. Believe it or not, by that time, much of the situation was resolved. Animals rehomed, house cleaned, sanitized. Nothing came of the CPS investigation, and it was quickly closed out because my man is the hardest worker this side of the Milky Way.
He was just trying to save himself. He was just trying to save himself from a fine. That's all it was.
Yeah, he was just trying to save himself.
Look, well, why the heck did he do it all of a sudden?
He saved his entire family single-handedly. However, the relationship was essentially permanently damaged as my wife continued to deny the problem was out of hand. Deep resentment developed towards each other. Fast forward nearly 12 months and my quitter wife requested a divorce. We are now separated, awaiting an official legal divorce. I have moved into a very nice home and have the kids 50-50.
Yeah, I'm shocked too how we got 50 of these kids.
My physical and mental health has dramatically improved. My kids now have an organized and clean, safe haven, and they seem happy. It seems inevitable that she may lose custody of the kids at some point altogether. I'm hoping she can keep things in check, but due to the constant denial that there was a problem, it will most likely repeat. I may have no choice but to take steps to ensure the children's safety at some point, further disrupting the children's lives from their otherwise loving mother. Limitations on pet quantities and cleanliness standards are written into the divorce settlement. By the way, wife has been in therapy for a couple of years in the midst of the hoarding. I guess you could say the therapist was either not savvy to the situation or enabling to an irresponsible level. I'm leaning towards the latter. She became more and more emboldened that I was causing her problems as opposed to looking inward. Her therapist seemed to fuel the delusions as far as I could tell. Anyway, thanks for all your advice and getting me to wake up to the madness I contributed to through inaction. Okay.
Out of everything OP has said, I was about to say two things. One, he has not seen anything that he's done wrong and explained it. He finally did for once in his freaking post.
Sorry, he was inactive. He was just trying to make his wife happy.
The only thing he has talked about with his wife is the divorce.
Not even entertaining that. I'm not even entertaining that. Update number 2. My soon-to-be ex-wife has a bit of an animal obsession, but otherwise is a loving and attentive mother. We share 50-50 custody of 4 children. When we split up last year, I had worked really hard to get the house cleaned up, helped to rehome dozens of animals, and eradicate a mice infestation before moving out. Since then, she has collected dozens of animals again, and the home reeks of animal urine. My oldest child has reported that the mice have returned. There is so much animal feed around the property and inside the home that wild mice have endless food supplies. The dogs are not potty trained, and every caged animal cannot be cleaned regularly enough to keep the odors at bay. When I got the kids for the week, all of their belongings and clothing had the strongest pungent odor of dirt and urine. My home is clean and smells fresh, and the kids' belongings made my whole house stink. 2 of my kids are wearing the same clothes day and night for multiple days at a time. I called CPS based on my attorney's advice, and I feel awful about it.
As you should, you reeking a-hole.
Look at my gentle, perfect OP. Even when he has to make the right call, he loves his wife so much that it torments his beautiful, gentle soul. You're OP. I'm the wife. Try to talk to me about getting rid of the animals.
I would, but he never talks to her. He just does it.
Time to use our imagination.
Have we ever seen him say, I talked to my wife about this? No, we haven't.
We literally did. And you know what happened? Here, I'll just do it since you won't do it because you're a coward. She goes, don't you dare touch Rudy or Julie or Donnie or Timmy or Tommy or Paul or Jenkins because I love every last one of them. And if you touch them, I will light your bed on fire.
Unreliable narrator right here because we're not getting anything from the wife's side and we're just getting what he's saying.
It feels and looks vindictive enough, even though that's not my intent. I feel like garbage and like I'm betraying my kid's mom's trust. I want to co-parent amicably, and I feel like this will take away from that. At the same time, she has a problem that is interfering with raising our children in a safe and sanitary environment. My kids love having all the animals. Granted, they love them, but they don't recognize the amount of time and cost to properly care for them.
Yeah, because you
They
have to
just
work all
like
the time.
the excitement of having a bunch of pets and animals. This is going to also strain my relationship with the kids to a degree. They don't realize that 1, the animals cannot possibly be cared for adequately, 2, that they are going to school stinking to high heaven, and 3, that the home is a health concern for them. 4, they see me as the mean dad that wants to take away all their precious animals, which are a part of the family. Part of me is just scared of my soon-to-be ex-wife, like actually afraid for my safety, LOL. I don't know if she knows yet, and a part of me wants to go over to her house and help her clean up and tell her again to rehome the animals. I know this is not realistic, as it was the primary source of our arguing in our home when we were together. I told her before moving out that I would always expect that her home be sanitary and not overrun by pets again, but that I would be amicable and fair in our divorce process. And now it just feels like I'm being petty in the process of a difficult divorce, even though logically it's not true, but I can't help shake a yucky feeling about calling CPS. Look how sweet he is. Even though he knows
because he's going to manipulate the situation so he can have full custody of his kids because he doesn't want to put any effort into this.
OP is literally Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. You know, sometimes
more like Venom.
Sometimes you have to call CPS on your wife because she's got a pee-pee poo-poo house. You can't, if you're a good father, you can't let your kids be staying 50-50 in a pee-pee poo-poo house.
He has no regrets about any of this. He's like, this is all her fault. And not like, I should have done more as a husband. I should have done more for the kids. I should have had a freaking backbone instead of letting my wife do whatever she wants. And I should have poured into my relationship relationship.
Yeah, keep digging. Go ahead.
He neglected their
digging.
relationship
Keep
to this
digging.
point. This is what neglection does.
I continued feeling uneasy all day and a bit panicked that before CPS came, she would be able to conceal, hide, or talk her way out of the situation. I started feeling like I would come out looking worse and the kids would not get a clean home out of the call. CPS talked to all of my kids while at school today. My 3 little ones all reported that they are all fine from what I could tell. I didn't pry or ask for more details of their conversation, but just generally asked if the interview was okay and how they felt about it. They all seemed fine and like it was discreet and no big deal. However, my oldest child's visit from the agent was separate as he goes to middle school. He spilled all the beans and complained heavily about the unsanitary conditions in great detail. I did not tell him, warn him, or coach him in any way whatsoever. In fact, I try not to even complain about the home to them, as there's nothing they can do about it, and it therefore would not be helpful. It would only cause them stress. He detailed that he asked his mom to buy a new $10 shirt, and she told him no, she doesn't have the money. He then told the CPS agent that 2 days later, he saw her come home with tons of new chickens and animal supplies. I'm saddened that he has been living in those conditions. I feel bad that their mom was probably humiliated by that story being retold to her. My son corroborated every complaint. And by the way, you can corroborate with us every weekday at 3 p.m. PST when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch. And we might even be live right now, so you can go check that out. The only reason I know what he told the agent was that their mom called him tonight and was quizzing him on his interview. I overheard everything he said as I was cleaning the kitchen, and he was right there boldly telling his mom all the things he told the agent. I didn't even know he was interviewed today, as we had a full afternoon of driving to kids' activities and making dinner, rushing to do all the parenting things. Anyway, I am relieved that there was corroboration, and it sounds like this may light a fire under their mom to again make some changes. I feel like this could end up being a regular cycle in the years to come. I hope she hangs in there, finds the courage to recognize there is a legitimate issue, and work to get better. I haven't been reached out to by CPS yet, but I suspect to get a call soon, and I hope they are able to convince her that changes have to be made. And that is the end of that story!
Poll. I secretly had feelings for my wife's cousin, and now she wants me too.
Ooh, looks like you got a crush.
I, 30 male, have been married to my wife, 29 female, for 4 years. No kids yet, but our life together is solid. She's everything you'd want in a partner. Kind, supportive, funny, and genuinely good-hearted. I love her deeply and wouldn't trade our life for anything. By the way, this comes from user Silver Scallion 5385, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Angie.
And I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice, goofily. But we don't always have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so if you do something different, let us know in the comments. We share the same values. Love spending lazy Sundays binge-watching nature documentaries, and she has this effortless way of making me laugh when I'm having the worst day. She's stunningly beautiful and my best friend. I've always felt like we were meant to find each other.
Aww.
But there's this thing I've been carrying with me since the very beginning. 6 years ago, I met my wife at a planetarium. We ended up chatting after the show, and I was immediately drawn to her. She gave me her number, and I walked out that night feeling like I'd just met someone special. Here's the cherry on top. Her cousin, 30 female, picked her up after the show. My wife introduced us briefly as she got in the car. I only saw her cousin for maybe 30 seconds, but something about her just stayed with me. When I saw her cousin again at a family gathering months later, it all clicked. She had this magnetic energy, confident, sharp, and a little mysterious. We made small talk, and it turns out we had a lot in common. That was the first time I felt the twinge of what if. Since then, I've only seen her at family events. It's always been perfectly normal and cordial, never inappropriate, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about her more than I should. There's always been this nagging thought in the back of my mind, wondering how different things might have been if I'd met her cousin first. Now, here's where things take a turn. Her cousin has recently fallen on hard times. Job loss, personal struggles, trying to get back on her feet. My wife, being the generous person she is, suggested we open our home to her cousin for a few months while she sorts things out. I haven't said yes or no yet. I've played it cool and supportive because, objectively, It's reasonable and compassionate, but internally I'm freaking out. So I'm terrified of what this might stir up. I know I love my wife and have no intention of jeopardizing our marriage, but the idea of living under the same roof as her cousin, being around her every day, is making me confront feelings I've spent years trying to bury. I don't know what to do. Do I just suck it up and deal with it? Do I bring this up to my wife and suggest maybe it's not the best idea? Do I need therapy? I hate myself for even being in this situation. My wife doesn't deserve this. She's amazing and I don't want to let her down, but this whole thing is starting to feel like a ticking time bomb. Is there any harmless way to approach this conversation? And there's an update. My wife's cousin moved in and things got complicated.
No, wow, didn't see that one coming. Who made it complicated?
What? Do you know who made it complicated?
Oh my gosh, Dora's back? I love Dora.
Correct.
Wait, who was it?
The husband.
Oh.
OP.
I would have never guessed that one.
Aww.
I wasn't expecting to update this, but a lot has happened since my first post. First, thank you to everyone who commented. The overwhelming sentiment was that I needed therapy, not a conversation with my wife about these feelings, and I took that to heart. I started seeing a therapist a couple of weeks after posting. Every session unearths new layers of guilt, shame, and confusion about my feelings. I've begun to realize that my attraction to her cousin was never just about her. It's tied to insecurities, unfulfilled fantasies, and struggles with commitment. As for the living situation, I caved. My wife was so earnest about wanting to help her cousin, and I couldn't bring myself to say no without raising questions I wasn't ready to answer. So her cousin moved in about 6 weeks ago. At first, everything was fine. Her cousin was polite, grateful, and kept mostly to herself. I started thinking maybe I had overthought everything, but beneath the surface, I could feel constant tension. I found myself hyper aware of her presence, her footsteps in the hallway, the sound of her voice. I hated how attuned I was to her movements, yet I couldn't turn it off. The first couple of weeks were deceptively smooth. I focused on maintaining boundaries and keeping interactions brief, but even then I felt like I was walking a tightrope. Then a few nights ago, everything changed. It was a Friday, and my wife had gone out with friends from work. Her cousin and I were both home, and she cracked open a bottle of wine after dinner. I wasn't drinking. I've been trying to be mindful of boundaries, but she seemed intent on loosening up. We ended up chatting in the living room, and for the first time since she moved in, the conversation veered into personal territory. She talked about how difficult things had been for her, losing her job, ending a long-term relationship, feeling adrift. I listened and offered encouragement, but then she said something that made my stomach drop. Quote, "I just wish I had your wife's life." I tried to brush it off as a general comment, but she kept going. She said she envied everything about her cousin, her stability, her marriage, even the way people gravitated towards her. And then she looked me straight in the eye and said, "She's so lucky to have you. I wish I'd been that lucky." That moment hit me like a freight train. Her words hung in the air, heavy with implication. I felt a flood of emotions, discomfort, guilt, panic, and a terrible fleeting sense of validation. I hated myself for that last part. I froze. Before I could respond, she backtracked, mumbling something about having too much to drink. She excused herself and went to her room, leaving me sitting there in stunned silence.
No. She's going to do the How I Met Your Mother thing.
She acted like nothing had happened. She was cheerful and chipper, chatting with my wife at breakfast as if the conversation had been wiped from her memory. I couldn't shake it. Every interaction with her cousin now feels charged, even though nothing inappropriate has happened. I'm hyper aware of everything, her tone, her body language, even the way she looks at me. I've started avoiding being alone with her, but with her living here, it's impossible to create total distance. Earlier today, she brought it up again out of nowhere that she wishes she had my wife's life. It put me at my wit's end. At this point, I don't know what to do. Therapy is helping me process my own feelings, but the external circumstances are growing more complicated. Part of me thinks I need to insist on an exit plan for her cousin, but that would raise questions with my wife that I'm not ready to answer. Update 2. I asked her what she meant. Then my wife came home. After reading through your comments, I decided to speak to her cousin directly and ask what she meant. I realize some of you think I'm leaning towards cheating or have poor self-control, but you're wrong. I would never cheat on my wife. Not out of obligation, but out of love, respect, and self-control. The hesitation was because I wanted to tell my wife everything without hurting her or damaging her relationship with her cousin based on the one-sided feelings. Things were awkward between us since her comment earlier. I couldn't shake it, so I decided to ask her. No build-up, no sidestepping. I just said, "What did you mean by what you said earlier?" At first, she laughed it off and blamed the wine and stress, but I pushed. I told her it didn't feel casual to me and that I'd been carrying the weight of it all evening, and I needed her to be honest. She got quiet and admitted it. She said she's attracted to me, not just in a passing way, but emotionally and physically. It started with admiring the way I treat my wife and the kind of marriage we have, But over time, those feelings grew into something else. She swore she never meant to say it out loud and that she's been trying to bury it, but being around me every day was making it harder to pretend. I was stunned. I stepped outside for a bit, read through more of your comments, and came to a clear conclusion. I couldn't keep this from my wife. There we go, buddy.
Freaking finally, dude.
We got there.
Finally.
When my wife got home about 2 hours later, I asked both of them to sit down and told her that I confronted her cousin, what she admitted, and how it made me feel. The silence was deafening. My wife asked her cousin flat out if it was true, and she didn't deny it. And that's when it turned into a full confrontation. No yelling, but you could feel the emotion. Her cousin even suggested that my wife doesn't fully appreciate what we have, which led to a heated back and forth. I stayed silent through it all because honestly I didn't want to be there. After some discussion, my wife asked her cousin to give us space, so she left the room, and my wife walked upstairs. I went up and decided to tell her the full truth, including how I felt, the fact that I've been going to therapy, everything. She was devastated. She even looked disgusted and defeated and said she didn't want to continue the conversation then. I decided to pull an all-nighter in my car. Her cousin has texted me since asking to speak, but I've ignored her messages. I couldn't stand feeling like I was holding this emotional secret from my wife. I did exactly what most of you and my therapist suggested I not do, but I feel so free now. Your therapist suggested you not to do that? I feel like you had to have been lying to him in some capacity. Update 3. I spoke to my wife and discussed everything. Good morning, Reddit. After my last post, I sat in the car for a few hours before returning to my room. My wife was asleep. She was supposed to be in early at work today, but took a wellness day, and I called in a family emergency. We sat down, and she started by saying she appreciated that I had the integrity to tell her the entire truth when staying quiet would have been easier. Her issue is that she felt like I should have told her before she extended the invite to her cousin. We've had a similar situation in the past with a coworker of hers who seemed to be making moves, but we navigated that much smoother. She ended up shutting it down and transferring departments. She said she gets that this situation is more complicated because it's closer to home, but she would have still appreciated the honest truth before we got to this point. She was angry and hurt when I dropped 2 nukes on her last night, but appreciated that I brought it up with both of them there so she could ask questions without interjection. I explained that I really didn't mean to hurt her or drag this out. We had a bit of a cry and held each other while I told her I felt like I betrayed her trust by being indecisive. She reassured me that she understood why I did what I did and didn't expect me to move differently. Apparently, after I went back to the room last night, her cousin left and booked a stay at a cheap motel for a few nights, leaving a note on the bedroom door. My wife still wants to continue the status quo so her cousin can catch herself properly, but I insisted that while I understand her intentions, boundaries were crossed and I don't want her around the house much longer. She was a little annoyed, but agreed. I would be annoyed too, because I'd be like, I thought we just worked through all this. Now you're saying she can't be here?
Right.
You just told me the truth and now it's all out in the open and it's fine. We'll work through it. But you're like, no, we can't. Both my wife and I grew up in extended families, so our cousins are like siblings. She believes in forgiving mistakes, but I feel like she's being too naive with her forgiveness. I love this woman and her optimistic outlook, but I feel like she's allowing the disrespect to pass without addressing it properly. By the way, you'd never disrespect us by listening to full episodes with stories like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime. This morning, I decided to call her father briefly and explain the situation. He told me not to stress it and that even though I should have had better timing, honesty was the best policy. We both come from single-parent households that broke due to cheating and subsequent lies, so it's always been my motto to lead with the truth even if it sucks. I failed my wife and my family by taking so long to speak about this. My wife and I are okay now, and she messaged her cousin wanting to talk. That conversation is supposed to take place tomorrow, and that is the end of that story.
I want to skip my cousin's wedding because of how they treated my disabled brother.
Yeah, skip it.
Yeah. I am a groomsman for my cousin's wedding coming up in October. Initially, I was excited about it, but now I'm having second thoughts about attending. 2 years ago, I asked him to be a groomsman at my wedding, and he was thrilled to take part. By the way, this comes from MCLEB014, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we haven't got all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you do in the comments. And OP says, we had an amazing wedding with a great venue, delicious food, and many people said it was the best wedding they had ever attended. I know everyone usually says this, but whatever. Recently, I've learned that my cousin and his fiance have made some unusual decisions regarding their wedding. They haven't sent our they haven't sent out traditional invitations. Instead, they just sent a JPEG image via text message.
Yeah, save that money.
Sure.
They're
Yeah.
expensive.
They should have sent a particle. They are not asking for gifts, but are requesting money through Zelle. Additionally, they require guests to wear ties and have specified the length of dresses with strict rules that guests will be denied entry if they do not comply.
Sounds normal so far.
Yeah.
I would love for all wedding invites to be like, and a long dress would be great, or a knee-length dress is perfect. That would save so much time.
Yeah. Here's exactly what you have to wear.
Yeah. I don't want like black tie, casual
No.
cocktail. I want
I don't know what that means.
length.
Give me length. While they are inviting children, they've made it clear that kids will not be allowed in the ceremony or at the reception because the fiancé dislikes children. This has caused a rift in my family, leading to great disapproval and concern. But my cousin remains adamant about these decisions. My parents and brother were invited to the wedding. Since my brother has a disability, he needs someone to assist him in getting there, as my parents cannot do it. When we brought this up, my cousin showed concern about the costs. My parents offered to pay for the chair and the meal for the caregiver. My cousin then replied, "Well, it's also X's wedding too, you know." Despite this, they told my parents they did not want a caregiver at the wedding because they didn't know them. Okay, so now they're like, "Oh, you also can't bring like the person that you need to be there."
Right.
We
So
don't
are
know
you
them.
saying you just don't want him there then? Because like the options are like caregiver
Or
him,
not
like not
coming.
him.
It seems like they just don't want. It feels like every time they don't want someone to come, they don't just outright say it.
Right.
They
They're just
say,
like, we'll make
"Kids are
this
invited."
weird rule that
Yeah.
like prevents them from coming.
Yeah, it's like just say you're not
Just
invited.
Say it.
As a result, my parents decided not to attend, as they don't feel comfortable leaving my brother by himself while we're at his wedding, which is out of state. To make matters worse, my cousin and his fiancée have been going around saying that my wedding was ruined by the presence of children. This includes my nephews from both my new family and my old family, as well as my cousin's nephews. They've been telling everyone this to justify putting the kids in a separate room. So I'm sorry, you're just putting
What?
the kids in another room for the whole
The
thing?
whole time. They're like, come to the wedding. You can sit in the kid room.
Huh?
This makes no sense.
Yeah. This really frustrates me. The situation has become so bad that it seems like no one else from our family is going to attend. It's just going to be me. Even my cousin's sister and her family have decided not to go. She has voiced serious concerns about his fiancé, saying that she has been rude to her children in the past.
But ultimately, yeah, like if you don't want kids, don't have the kids.
Don't
there.
have them. Although she feels a sense of obligation to support him, she ultimately decided that her family wouldn't be attending. My cousin and I have always been very close, and we've been through so much together. This behavior is completely out of character for him, and many people in the family have noticed a change since he's been with his fiancée. It feels like he's been doing all of this just to please her, and nobody is holding him accountable for how he's treating our family. Weddings are supposed to be fun and celebratory, but this feels more like an obligation. My cousin's "it's my way or the highway" attitude is really upsetting. I'm still on the fence about attending, as I haven't purchased my rental tux or booked my flight yet. What's really bothering me is that my gut is telling me not to go. By attending, I would feel like I'm approving of how he has treated my parents, my disabled brother, and our entire family. I would essentially be saying it's okay that he openly mocked my wedding and excluded family members who needed accommodations. Is it wrong to skip my cousin's wedding when we've always been close? Or is it right to think that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is not enable someone's terrible behavior? I'm torn between family loyalty and standing up for what's right. But isn't that family loyalty? Wouldn't you not be, wouldn't you standing up for your brother be family loyalty?
That's what I thought that was.
Yeah.
I think that like it's terrible that they're not just willing to let someone else pay for that extra dinner spot so that your brother can go.
Yeah.
And like
they're doing it on purpose.
It's 100% on purpose. And I feel like if like in your heart, the best thing to do, which I would like agree, like if you think like they're doing it on purpose, don't go.
Yeah.
Be like, no, you guys treated my brother like this, and unless he's coming, I'm not coming. Just
Yeah.
tack on to that.
Yeah.
If he's not coming, I'm not coming.
Update. It has been a week since posting here, and I appreciate everyone reaching out and confirming my gut check on not going. It's also important to state that a lot can change within a week. One of the first people I chatted with besides immediate family members was my cousin's sister. I was texting with her back and forth about the wedding, and I decided to call her. We spoke on the phone for an hour, and I was really upfront with her. I was on the fence about going because I couldn't bear myself to stand up there knowing that my family could have been there. She was disappointed that I was on the fence, but totally understood. She knew about what her brother did to my folks and my brother, and his family ripped him to shreds for it. We also talked about his fiance, and a lot of new information came out. She was at my wedding 2 years ago, and she did not have a good time. Part of me understood that you're in a new environment with strangers and family you may not know, but you make the best of it. Despite taking tons of videos and pics, dancing on the dance floor, and participating in the reception activities, it still wasn't enough. I recalled many times that I offered her to be a part of groomsmen activities, but she wanted to stay locked in her hotel room. Not only that, she actually thought that the kids ruined my wedding, specifically her soon-to-be nephew. I disagree with this so much because he really was the life of the party that night. The pictures and videos prove it. The reality is this. She made the choice not to have fun at my wedding, which is a shame because it was a damn good time. We also talked, recognizing that she is good for my cousin with some things. My cousin has had a bit of a history of being a party animal, having financial hardships, and abusing booze and substances. She keeps him in check, and we are grateful. But even so, we think she's trying to keep him to herself and herself only. A lot of these restrictions from her wedding came from her. I think my cousin is only agreeing to this because he wants to please her and deliver her a perfect wedding. The reality is this: no perfect wedding exists. It was a good conversation, and I told her that I planned on chatting with my cousin to ask him if he made the decisions to not accommodate my brother with me in mind. From there, I would make the judgment call. She also cautioned that this could ruin my relationship with my cousin forever, which I recognized but was willing to take that risk. Several days after my conversation with his sister, I went over to my folks, and my mom told me that she got a call from my cousin. He told her that they've decided to let my brother have a caretaker, which is great. Oh, okay, perfect. But more importantly, he apologized to her.
Oh, okay.
The stress of wedding planning and life got to them, and he profusely apologized. My mom forgave him and told him that we're good.
Okay, great.
We're getting somewhere. Love to see it. Unfortunately, my mom also said that after much thought, we thought it was best to keep my brother home. The caretaker that we were going to ask had to get surgery, and getting another one from his group home would be a hassle. Not to mention, flying my brother would be unknown territory for everyone. And because he's staying home, my parents decided to stay home too because they don't feel comfortable having all 3 guardians in another state with my brother left behind. My cousin understood this. My parents also plan on visiting him to help out with some family stuff in a few weeks, and my cousin was elated. I texted his sister about this and asked what happened, and sure enough, it was the family pressure over multiple confrontations that finally got through to him. Attendance is down for the wedding, and seeing the real consequences of his decisions, such as putting children in a room during the reception, strict attire requirements, not letting people in if they don't comply, and Zelle-only payments, finally woke him up. For us, it was denying simple and reasonable accommodations for my brother. My cousin had been firm about these decisions before, wanting everything to be perfect since he paid for the entire wedding out of pocket. But I think the combination of ongoing family pressure and seeing how low attendance had become made him realize his errors. But most of all, my parents are cool with him. It sounds like he turned a corner, a very critical one. His fiancée, on the other hand, we'll wait and see. But we all agree that she's probably holding a grudge against our family, which is a shame because she doesn't have much of a family left. And we have a tight, close family. I hope she turns a corner too. Because of these recent developments, I'm going to the wedding. I've ordered my tux, booked my hotel, and told him that I'll be there. I haven't had a conversation about what transpired, but I do plan on telling him that while I was disappointed, I'm glad he changed his mind. I also sympathize with his position as the groom. By the way, I would sympathize with you if you listened to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final thoughts?
I mean, I hope that the wedding goes well.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that you get to go.
Yeah, at least that's
Yeah.
something out of it.
I'm
guys
glad that
figured
you
something
got an
out.
apology, even if we don't know how sincere it is yet.
Yeah.
Sounds
Like-
sincere from your cousin, at least.
At least there's something.
Yeah.
Some amends were being made. But there is a little bit left to the story. There are a lot of emotions involved, and as a family member, I want to be there. I also recognize this was not the outcome that many of you wanted or expected. Believe me, I'm just as surprised as all of you. But the truth is, I'm glad I didn't jump the pew-pew, mostly because I got slammed at work this week, but I also wanted time to cool down and collect info. I'm happy with how things panned out. Jumping to extremes is easy. I'm glad I chose the hard part and waited it out. Is this going to be the greatest wedding ever? Probably not. But hey, there's always a chance for my cousin's next wedding to be great. LOL.
Rough.
That's funny.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe he'll marry someone better on the next time. But that's the end of that story, folks.
My cousin's wives accused me of stealing their husbands, so I told them to leave.
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't.
I, 28 female, come from a very religious community. My parents immigrated to our country as refugees, and the only family they had nearby were distant relatives. But they became close and built their own community. There were originally 7 sets of aunts and uncles and their many kids. It's a huge family.
Big old family.
This started before I was born, so it's been going on for 30 plus years. By the way, this comes from user 7koi in a trench coat. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Keon.
I'm Angie.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so please let us know what you do in the comments. OP says, we all grew up extremely close. Some of us were born months apart because of our moms planning their pregnancies all together. We range from 33 to 17 in our current group, plus younger siblings and kids. Our parents raised us like siblings. They drove us to school together, enrolled us in the same religious classes, vacationed together, and rotated childcare. They even moved in the same neighborhood, so no house was more than 10 minutes away. Some parents breastfed each other's kids.
Wow.
Okay. And in Islam, that makes you milk siblings, which means you can't marry each other and have relaxed modesty boundaries. So even though most of us aren't biologically that close, we are family. None of us would ever see each other romantically, and our parents treat us like siblings too. As adults, we're still inseparable. We go on holidays, hang out after work, and have regular game nights. The cousins with kids share babysitting duties. Our dynamic is extremely tight-knit. We all have silly nicknames from childhood that just stuck. For example, Wawa for a cousin named Aurora. It sounds dumb, but calling each other by real names now feels cold and rude. Usually only family uses these names, though spouses eventually pick them up too. Until recently, no one had an issue with this setup. But 2 of my cousins, 29 male and 28 male, recently got married, and their wives, 27 female and 28 female, have joined our gatherings like game nights, barbecues, and kids' parties. A lot of these happen at my house or my parents' house because I love hosting. As a single woman who lives alone in a big house, I've always got space, and it's just easier for the family. From the start, both wives seem to have an attitude towards some of us, especially me. I originally thought it was because they didn't know me well, as I'd get busy as the hostess. But it might also be because I'm friendly and share a lot of hobbies and professional interests with those cousins. We talk often, and they're over at my place often. I guess that rubbed the wives the wrong way. Last Saturday, I hosted an impromptu pizza night because I just bought pizza oven. Cute. Pizza nights are very fun.
That sounds like fun.
Since pizza night wasn't planned, only about half the cousins could make it. The 2 cousins and their wives came early. After hanging out for a bit, the guys left to grab donuts, leaving me, the 2 wives, and 2 younger female cousins at my place. We were chatting in the kitchen while I prepped toppings when things suddenly turned nasty.
Ruh-roh. What the frick does that mean?
Nasty. The wives started asking pointed questions about my relationship status, mocking me for putting more effort into family than dating. One almost called me a witch, in our own language, for not wearing a headscarf around the guys, wearing revealing dresses, and trying to steal their men. Oh, you're jealous.
Oh, so you're calling me hot. Oh, wow, thank you.
You're just a little jelly.
Well,
You want
thank
some
you,
peanut
darling.
butter with that jelly, huh? Then they started picking apart everything. My dress, body, house, hobbies. They even called me a pick-me for liking things like gaming and robotics. It was a full-on tag team insult session. I was so shocked, I just stared at them. And my younger cousins were too stunned to say anything. Eventually, I stood up and told them to get out of my house. They looked at me like I was insane. It was raining, and their husbands had the car. But I told them calmly, but coldly, leave before I drag you out myself. I opened the door, pointed outside, and told them to get off my property. They finally left, and I locked the door, turned off the porch light. Yes, I was being petty, and just stood there shaking with anger. My cousins comforted me and texted their brothers to explain what happened. Apparently, the wives were mad that I used childhood nicknames for their husbands, names they weren't allowed to use. They were also mad that I spent too much time with the cousins and talked to them often. They completely ignored the fact that they could have joined us anytime. I even lent one cousin my Switch so he could try to get his wife into gaming. But apparently, everything about me just irritated them. You're just better. Now, I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole. I can see how my closest to my cousins might make their wives uncomfortable, and maybe I should have been more aware of that. But I still feel like I was justified in kicking them out after they insulted me in my own home. I feel like this whole thing could have been avoided if they communicated with either me or their husbands. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I'd want to put boundaries between me and the boys if the wives ask. That might make me the a-hole too. So, am I the a-hole for kicking them out into the rainy night after they accused me of trying to steal my cousins, who I see as almost as my brothers? And we have an update. Angie, what say you?
I mean, I think you know what your answer is. I feel like you know that you're definitely not the a-hole for that at all.
No.
No.
Crazy to start making fun of me in every aspect and just calling me out in my own home for pizza night, by the way.
It was like so many different things that came out of nowhere. Like, it wasn't even like OP did something different that like brought up an insult each time. It was like one thing happened and then they just started saying all of this stuff. Well, I guess it might not have happened that way.
They were just airing it out. They were just
either
like,
way,
you know what? We let the floodgates open a little bit. Might as well just let it all out. We're cool,
like-
right? We're going to make pizza. We're going to make barbecue chicken.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you're f***ing us out.
Huh?
Why would you do that? No.
Yeah, no, definitely not. They insulted you, and it's not like you them out because you are trying to steal their husbands, and you're like, how dare you get onto my evil plan. They were being mean to you.
But we have an update. So, after I punted out my cousins' wives that night, everything turned into a blur. My other cousins were texting and calling their brothers while I just stood there trying to process what had happened. From what I understand now, the wives didn't like how close I was with their husbands, the childhood nicknames, or that the guys were often at my house after work. To be fair, they were over a lot, at least twice a week. And yes, I don't dress modestly by our community standards when I'm home. I wear short dresses, if you could call an almost knee-length dress short. But to me, these men are basically my brothers. We grew up together, and modesty rules are different between family. The guys picked their wives up about 10 to 15 minutes later. They didn't come inside or speak to me. They didn't respond to my messages that night or the next day. And the wives blocked me on social media. From what I've been told since, the cousins think their wives crossed the line, but they're still siding with them and have cut or reduced contact with me.
No, that's so sad.
Yeah, that sucks. Ugh. This morning, I went to my parents' house, trying to pretend everything was normal. Big mistake. It turns out everyone had been talking about me behind my back. My mom barely looked at me. My dad didn't speak to me at all. When my mom finally did talk, she told me that all the parents had been on the phone nonstop. Apparently, everyone thinks the wives' behavior was excusable, especially because one of them, 27 female, just announced she's 2 months pregnant. That's something to soften the blow.
Yeah, right?
It's probably one of the first babies out of this age group or demographic for the kids
Yeah.
in this community or this family.
That just sucks so much though, because if their idea is that oh well she's pregnant, we're supposed to all be so connected right now and be together as a family, it's okay, well I was I was. And then they just like were saying all these insults that were based on nothing, and now everyone's against me.
But you had 2 witnesses. You had your two younger cousins, like the 2 other cousins were in the house, and they witnessed that, and they're the ones who messaged their brothers.
It's so hard because it's like the brothers, they understand and they know OP, but they just want to be like good husbands or something.
And the fact that this was sprung upon you like a trap, that you walked in there and like no one reached out to you.
Yeah.
Your cousins, aka your brothers, in this sense, didn't respond to you, and they talked behind your back is insane.
Yeah.
Now I'm being called cruel for throwing a pregnant woman out in the rain, while her insults toward me are being excused as pregnancy hormones. Her husband isn't mad at her, and her in-laws are defending her because it's their first grandchild. Of course. They're even pushing to have me excluded from family events for her comfort. She needs to be comfortable, because otherwise she can move back to her parents' state with the baby. The second wife's behavior is also being brushed off. Somehow, I'm now the suspicious one because the guy spent so much time with me. People are whispering that I must have been sleeping with them. Even though both cousins denied it, everyone assumes one of them must be lying, or both of them. I genuinely didn't consider the effects their accusations would have. In my culture, accusations like this destroys a woman's reputation and her family's. My own family thinks I've ruined my honor as a woman. My parents, aunts, and uncles are demanding that I prove my virginity if I want to be accepted into the family again? What?
Ew.
Okay, if I agreed to it, it would probably be done in Saudi Arabia or Qatar. A gynecologist would be the one doing it. I know they do virginity certificates there, but I'm not a virgin. I never told anyone in my family for some privacy reasons. I think if I do agree to it, maybe there might be a chance I could still pass it, or my failure could be attributed to my documented history of horse riding since I was 7. I feel sick just thinking about it, to be honest. But I don't know if I have any other choice. I don't want to lose my family. If I choose a doctor, maybe I can choose a nice one who would listen to me and certify me as a virgin without having to do a test, or regardless of what the test shows. If I don't agree to the virginity testing, I will have to marry one of these uncles' brothers in a different country and stay there until my cousins' wives are comfortable with me coming back, so probably never. This man is in his 50s, but would do me the favor of marrying me, even if I'm already pregnant? I'd be his 3rd wife. I'd rather live in exile, thanks. And you can't get pregnant from not having spicy sleep. There's no chance. And heck, I'm pregnant. One of my cousins, not the one with the pregnant wife, called me from his office today. He wants to come by tomorrow after lunch to talk privately. I miss him, but I'm also scared of becoming his dirty little secret he hides from his wife and the family. She'll probably assume he's at work, and I doubt he'll tell her. I don't know if there's anything he could say honestly. If he forgives her and lets her get away with it all, I'll never forgive him. I've made an emergency therapy appointment because I'm beyond overwhelmed. My parents aren't taking my hesitation at the virginity test as a good sign. The man they want me to marry is in Qatar too, so I'm extremely cautious about traveling there with my family, especially my uncles. By the way, you don't have to be extremely cautious with us because you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. There's a little bit left. I'm speechless. The fact that you had witnesses and still everyone is against you.
Yeah, because it's
just
also,
like that, by the way.
Yeah.
Just like that is crazy.
And it's also frustrating because it's like, this is your family. So these are the ones that know your relationship growing up because they're part of that kind of joined family that you guys had. So it's like they know your guys' relationship. They know that like, yeah, you're just kind of comfortable. Like they've probably been in the same room when you're comfortable and like less modest around them and stuff. So it's like, it's so frustrating that they know all of that and they probably have seen and experienced that. But because of these accusations, now they're believing that all of those hints are for cheating. It's like,
Which
what?
is insane.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and finish up the story. I hate that this has become my life. I know I didn't handle everything perfectly, but I never imagined it would turn into this. I gave them an out to look like the victims and accidentally legitimized their claims about me and their insults. I'm safe at my own home for now. I have a stable job, savings, and I have access to therapy. But still, it's gut-wrenching to realize that people I've loved all my life believe 2 women they've known for barely a year over me. And that's the end of that story.
My ex's wife caused wedding drama, and my cousin blamed me for it.
Well, that's because it's your ex's wife. You should have never broken up.
In uni, I had a very brief sort of relationship with a guy on my course. I ended it because I felt like I needed to learn independence. I've never lived on my own. My mom and dad coddled me and paid for my expenses, cooked for me, did my laundry, etc. By the way, this comes from And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
My name's Dakota.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says,
Princess.
he was looking to settle down, and I really wasn't. I wanted to learn to be on my own for a bit, and he wanted to marry someone he could take care of. We went our separate ways, finished uni, got jobs, etc. My cousin got married the other day. This guy that I was previously talking to attended with his wife. She also attended our uni and was on the same course. I wasn't really fussed by seeing them. They've clearly moved on, and I'm loving life right now, having that independence I've been wanting. It's all chill until his wife comes up to our table. She asked me why she didn't see me at graduation. For context, I didn't attend our graduation ceremony because both my grandmothers had passed away and it was their funeral. Oh my God.
Yeah, so extremely valid reason to not be there.
I didn't really care about missing graduation because I've got horrible social anxiety anyway, and the thought of being seen by that many people freaked me out. She asked about my career. I told her that I'm in teaching now, and I love it. Small pleasantries, you get it. But she randomly veered the conversation in different direction. She's like, my husband doesn't care about you anymore. I wasn't bothered at all because over the few years since we were together, I started to see just how toxic he was. He was controlling, and he wanted me to ask his permission before seeing my own friends. I was not looking to start an argument at my cousin's wedding, so I walked away from them and sat at my other cousin's table. I don't know how, but she found me again at some other point of the reception, and it got weird. She was saying things like, you are so jealous of us. You skipped graduation because you didn't want to see us together. I didn't even know they were together.
I freaking knew it. I freaking knew she was going to say that.
Yeah. I didn't bother explaining myself. It would have been pointless as she'd already made up her mind about me. I just nodded along as she ranted to me. But as you'd expect, it started to take attention away from the wedding. I decided it would probably be best to go home, so I gave my gifts and left. But my cousin messaged me a few days later, angry at me for starting fights at the wedding. I told her I wasn't looking for any fights, and that girl had approached me every single time. She told me it was my fault for leading him on in the first place. I explained it was a very long time ago. I was only 19 at the time, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, let alone commit to marrying a guy.
So, no, this is, I bet you the cousin is saying that because she's marrying, like, the first person she ever dated. Because what does she mean when she say, leading him on like that? We dated. We broke up.
Dating a man for a little bit and then being like, hey, I changed my mind. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
It's not leading a man on.
I wouldn't like to live in your dungeon where you give me crackers and milk every day and that's it. Crackers and milk and you better like it.
Am I being dumb or is this actually my fault? Did I ruin the wedding? There's more I want to include, but this post is limited. And we have the verdict, which is obviously not the a-hole. But before we get into some comments, any thoughts?
No, as soon as I heard that she walked up to you that first time, I knew that's exactly why she did it.
She immediately probably saw you and was like, I'm going to go up there and show her. And it's like, no, you were minding your own business at your cousin's wedding.
I know you're actually secretly still obsessed with my husband who I married, who you used to date.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can just say your husband. And also, I'm not.
Yeah, and also then I would have continued to date him if I liked him.
Right, you can have him. I left.
Please keep him. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, you didn't start the fight and you left, so it wouldn't cause commotion at the wedding, not the a-hole. Is your cousin friends with the other girl? Because it seems like she's taking sides when she should be mad at the other girl for starting crap at her wedding. OP responds, yeah, they're friends, but I didn't know that until after the wedding. Commenter 2, shouldn't your cousin realize that this person is making up lies when she's saying you skipped graduation because you were jealous of her and ex being together? And the real reason you missed it was for your grandmother's funeral? Because she could put together that your grandmother did pass away. And was this grandmother related to the bride too? OP says, no, she wasn't. We're related on my dad's biological side, but he's adopted. It was his adoptive mom that passed away and my mom's mom. She did know about the passings, but I don't think she knew it was when my graduation was supposed to be. Our families aren't that close. Commenter 3, not the a-hole. What is wrong with these people? I'd be very firm with everyone who had something to say. I attended my cousin's wedding, and my ex's new wife behaved like an unhinged lunatic, following me around. It became so uncomfortable that I had to leave because she was causing a scene. I have nothing to apologize for. OP says, I did point this out to my cousin, but she's still upset with me and says I probably should not have attended. But I didn't even know they were going to attend or that they were even married. Commenter 4 says, did your cousin invite you? OP says, she invited my parents, but they couldn't make it, so they asked me to go instead.
So, okay, so your cousin doesn't even like you in the first place. You didn't
That's
even
what it
get invited
sounds
to the
like.
wedding.
In my culture, it's considered rude if I don't attend on my parents' behalf. Commenter 4 says, did she know you were attending on your parents' behalf ahead of time? OP says, yes. My parents already rang her mom to explain they couldn't make it, but I was attending for them. Commenter 4 responds back, in that case, your cousin knew who was going to be there, and she should have determined if it might be a problem or not and addressed it beforehand. You didn't have the information to judge that. I don't know why your cousin's friend wouldn't just ignore you for the sake of her friend's wedding. What a psycho. OP says, I'm not sure if she even put that together until she saw us at the wedding. It was so long ago, and I haven't thought about it since it ended. But the wife is a bit strange for holding on to a year-long relationship between 18 and 19 years old. Commenter 5 says, sounds like neither your ex and your wife nor your cousin were actually mature enough to get married, not the a-hole. OP says, I'm only 22 to be fair. My cousin is only a couple years older than me. OP on how the wife managed to locate her if OP moved tables. OP says, I mean, it's an Asian wedding.
Also, people have eyeballs and can walk around and see other people. Like, it's not like they had it in a labyrinth. Like,
right. She says there were at least 30 different tables. I feel like you could still see people.
yeah, it's like that commenter, do you know how tables work?
And we have an update
How could
2
you-
weeks later.
How could you have possibly found her if she switched tables?
You can't walk around the building.
I would be very
You have
careful.
eyes.
Be very careful with this woman because she clearly
He
is
has
a
eyes.
very skilled individual.
He's a witch.
She is trained in spycraft,
Witch.
possibly espionage, and may even have magical witch powers.
We have an update 2 weeks later, though.
Let's
Any
go.
thoughts?
I just want to know if your cousin is getting married to her first relationship.
I did end up contacting my cousin after reading through the comments on the original post. I waited a while because she was enjoying her honeymoon. It went better than I expected, to be honest. She did start off by explaining that she was upset at the wedding because she felt flustered about having people fighting at her wedding. It was her instinct to stick up for her friend. I mentioned in the comments that my cousin and I aren't very close, so it might sound strange that she'd opt to defend her friend over me, but it makes sense to me and I'm not mad about it. We pretty much squashed it and agreed that it would be better for the sake of our families to just agree that there are no hard feelings and what happened happened. Just to make life easier for events like this in the future. I don't think about it anymore. Most of my reaction to the situation came from everything happening so publicly. Once I was out of the situation and had time to cool down a bit, it stopped bothering me. I wanted to clear some things up too. Some of you were confused why I would be shocked that the wife found me during the reception. I forgot that white weddings are so small. There were between 700 to 1,000 people at this wedding, and like 70 to 80 tables, not including the bride and groom's table. It was a pretty big venue, and my cousin's table that I sat at was tucked away in the corner. Opie said 30 tables earlier. We just jumped to 70 to 80. That is way bigger than I was expecting.
That might be a little
Yeah.
bit harder to find somebody
When
in
she
the
said
midst.
30 tables earlier, I was like, that seems pretty standard. 700 to 1,000 people, that's wild. That's
Yeah.
gotta be a fun time.
Might be. Yeah.
That she tracked you down.
Yeah, she did. She had your scent.
Yeah. Speaking of, some of you are wondering why the cousin I sat with didn't say anything. She is like me in that sense. Getting involved just makes the situation worse, as we've seen with our parents, aunts, and uncles. And no, it wasn't a situation where the entirety of the hall stopped and watched. It was more of a situation where the few people around us were watching the situation go down. There were still people dancing, going to all the carts, serving different foods, etc. By the way, you can dance your way over to listen to full episodes with stories just like this.
Yeah.
Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts from. Search up OK Storytime and come dance with us.
Yeah.
We have just a little bit left, but sounds like everything's all good now.
How is one altercation between you and a kind of deranged lady going to ruin a wedding with like 1,000 people there?
Right. I wonder if the cousin would have even like known about it.
Yeah.
If it was like the people watching stayed hush hush.
I don't know. Your cousin just doesn't like you, dude.
They
That's
said they weren't
that's
close.
really the big facts. Your cousin does not care for you for some reason.
Also, I don't know what side of the story his wife knows, nor do I care to know. It happened 3 years ago. I realize my account of this may be biased, so I take accountability for that. I think naturally we tend to only see situations from our own point of view. We have some top comments.
That was very poignant and relevant and astute observation, OP.
This is OP on why there was a large number of guests at the cousin's wedding. This is standard for Asian weddings. If you're not a close member of the family, you're not generally expected to give gifts. You'll just give a small amount of money to the couple, like less than $200, as a gesture of wishing them a blessed marriage. Commenter responds, as for why your ex's wife came at you, I can't help but wonder what kinds of stories and signals she's getting from your ex. Maybe he idealizes you, or maybe he's tried to make you the devil and blame you for everything that went wrong in your relationship. Maybe he's telling her that you're obsessed with him and following him around in person and on social media. That is the end of that story.
I cut off my cousin because she made a scene at my sister's wedding.
This ain't a scene. It's an arms race.
I, 20 female, cut my relationship with my cousin, 26 female. We will call her Jane. Cut her off. By the way, this comes from Glittering Lie 2763. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We just know what we would do in the situation. So let us know what you would do in the comments. So Jane had a rocky childhood, and her dad, my uncle, is a wiener. I see some of him in her personality-wise. A main part of her personality is she demands respect when she hasn't earned it. It is my personal belief that the only people that get respect out the gate are parents, if they've been good to you. Grandparents and maybe siblings. Anyone outside of that earns your respect. In my family, the only two people that haven't earned my respect are Jane and her dad, purely through their actions. Her personality is very similar to my mom's. They are very blunt, negative, and you can see every emotion on their face. The difference is my mom has tact and class. It took me and mom a really long time to have the good relationship that we have now because our personalities clashed. But both of us wanted it, and both sides put in effort. For context, here are a few fights that we've had in the past. For most of these, I was a minor. Jane always assumes that I'm being crappy, whether that is how she reads my text messages or just reacts to very normal things that I say. One example was when I was about 17 and she asked me to make a cake for her husband. I make cakes on the side, so this wasn't a weird request, but it was around Christmas time and I already had 3 cake orders. She gave me about 2 weeks notice, which would have been fine if I didn't already have those orders. So I politely told her, I'm sorry, I wish I could, but I don't have the time. I have 3 cake orders and they're all due around the same time. I was next to my other cousin. We'll name her Sarah. Sarah was middle school age at this point, but homeschooled, so she didn't realize that when you change certain words, it makes a big difference. I said something along the lines of, it worked out because I wouldn't have charged them that much because they're family. Sarah heard this, internalized it, and told Jane that I said they wouldn't pay me enough, which is not what I said. That made Jane angry. Luckily, she texted my sister before she angry texted me and realized it was a big misunderstanding. But I have confirmation from the future that she doesn't believe it was a misunderstanding. When I was a minor, I didn't stand up to her because I didn't believe it was my place. I said she's older than me, I should just move on, let it go, we're not that close. But then she became really close to my sister, we'll call her Victoria. Victoria and Jane are not related because of blended family stuff on my side, so they didn't grow up together. The biggest fight we had was planning Victoria's bridal shower. Victoria already had 2 bridal showers because of said blended family, but we were bridesmaids and it was our duty to put something together. Victoria's maid of honor is her childhood best friend that lives on the other side of the country. So Jane named herself the matron of honor because she's married. She did do a lot to help with the wedding, but Victoria didn't want both a maid of honor and a matron of honor. Before this fight, Victoria had just had her bachelorette trip in Newport Beach, California. This was Jane's first time meeting the maid of honor. To say she hated her was an understatement. I have to believe there is some jealousy there too. On the trip, she's yelling, "I'm the maid of honor," and Victoria is just rolling her eyes. We were planning her bridal shower. It's me, Jane, and my older sister, Sissy. Before the meeting, Jane had texted us what the groom's parents had done for their party and was like, "This is what we have to beat." As a joke, I was like, "Whoa, those are rich doctors. We're broke adults. Ours is gonna be great," or something along the lines of that. She internalized that as me being crappy and went into the meeting thinking that I'm gonna be crappy. She walks in. I'm being nice, polite, and cordial. I'm writing down the stuff that we're planning, and then we get to the games, which she had approved in August, and this was the beginning of October. I explained that it's 2 games and then something heartfelt. It was write a memory about Victoria, bridal unscramble, and then how well do you know the bride and groom? She was like, "I don't think anyone is going to know those questions." I was like, "They're really easy questions. And like, what's their middle name and where did they meet?" So she starts to get irritated. And at this point, I didn't realize why. So I said one of those jokes that don't land and was like, "Well, if you don't know the bride and groom by now, that's a little concerning. Ha ha ha." Then she's all like, "Why are you getting so defensive about this?" I'm like, "I'm not trying to be defensive. It's just that I showed you these and you approved them 2 months ago, so I'm not sure what your problem is now." We keep going, planning, and then Jane wants to talk to Sissy about the bachelorette trip. Jane looks at me and says, really crappy, and says this better not leave the room. I was like shocked, like, okay. Then she says, "Never mind, I don't want this getting back to Victoria." So I go on my phone because they're talking and we're not planning right now. She looks at me and goes, "Can you get off your phone? We're planning." At this point, we're both irritated. I am no longer a minor, and therefore not afraid to stand up for myself. Go you, OP.
Stand up for yourself, OP.
It took adulthood. I go, "We're not planning right now. You're talking tea." Sissy sees that we're about to fight and tries to mediate, and she goes, "I don't even know what the tea is about." The only context clues I have is that she doesn't want us to get back to Victoria. At this, Jane blows up and starts yelling at me that it is not about Victoria and she would never talk crap about Victoria, and how dare I say that. At this point, I'm just more confused than anything, and when I'm upset, my response is to not cry because that shows weakness. Instead, I internalize it into anger. I don't even remember what I said, but I was being ugly. I can admit when I make mistakes, and so I was horrible. But a lot of it stemmed from her insulting me in her anger, and I was trying not to cry, so I got really nasty. One of my favorite lines from that day, Jane said, "If you keep disrespecting me, I'm not going to let you in my house, and you won't be invited to your own sister's bridal shower." I said, "Threaten me with a good time. I don't have to spend time with you. Sounds wonderful." That is something that she repeated a lot, that I better show respect or I won't be allowed in her home. She leaves. I take time to think about it and realize I need to put my feelings aside so that this wedding goes smoothly for Victoria. So against everything in me, I send Jane a nice apology. I ask if we can turn over a new leaf. We both said hurtful things. Let's move on. Mind you, never once in any of our countless arguments did she ever apologize. My mom even says this. Jane is never wrong. The wedding shower goes great. I bite my tongue a lot. Moving on to the day of the wedding. All the bridesmaids, minus Sissy, are getting ready at Victoria's mom's Airbnb. Victoria has hired a makeup artist, and Jane decided she wanted to partake. I'm in the corner doing my own hair and makeup, so I witnessed this whole interaction. The only person that had a trial with this makeup artist is Victoria because she's the bride. So this makeup artist has never met Jane before. Jane shows her an inspo pic and the makeup artist asks if she has another one. Jane says something like, "I can look it up." I just looked up natural makeup. Then Jane asked if she has any foundation that isn't going to break her out. The makeup artist is like, "No, it's too expensive to carry that hypoallergenic because lots of people are allergic to different things." She then asks if there is a specific ingredient that Jane is allergic to and she can avoid it, and Jane goes, "No, I don't know the specific ingredient, just the pore clogging foundations." The makeup artist tries again. "Do you know what brands you used when you broke out?" Jane was like, I don't know. And then they get to the mascara, and the makeup artist at this point is matching her energy. She says, I'm going to put waterproof mascara so that if you cry at the wedding, it won't run. Jane asks her not to do the waterproof mascara because when she takes it off, it takes her eyelashes off, which is valid. There are different things that you can use for that. Just letting you know.
I was going to say, I have no input on this. This is all you, Angie.
I got you.
Thankfully, you are here. I got nothing.
There are some, like, if you use a makeup wipe, just a quick thing about waterproof mascara. If you use a makeup wipe and you kind of like roll it on you and then pull, that's going to take your eyelashes out. But honestly, if you use, there's like a makeup like balm. Those work, or honestly, just like Vaseline. That I found, because it's oily, it'll take all the waterproof stuff right off.
As someone who does, you do makeup a lot. If you were trying to help someone out and they were just giving you like nothing, is this how you like?
Dude, I don't even know.
Act back. Like at this point, you're like, I can't do your makeup. Like, I don't want to do your makeup.
Right. I feel like you really. Like,
the furthest I've gone is like guy liner and maybe like a little bit like a mascara just because I'm pretty.
But then the makeup artist gives her some sass back and is like, what cleanser are you using that takes off your eyelashes? Then I have to leave because I have to deliver the wedding cake to the reception venue. Yes, I did the wedding cake. Yes, it was beautiful. And yes, it was delicious. Then I head to my mom's house to put on my dress, and that's when the limo picked us up. We get to the church to take pictures, and Jane will not stop complaining and making a fuss in front of Vic. One of your jobs as the bridesmaid is forget about yourself and make sure the bride has a good day. Because Vic is the biggest people pleaser with the biggest heart, and she will internalize all of it. One of the things that Jane said in front of Vic is that it was a lot of work to be a bridesmaid. Gosh, that would make me feel so guilty if one of my bridesmaids said that on my wedding day. Like, sorry, I didn't mean to make it so much work. Sorry, like, what do you want me to do? We're here now. It's my wedding.
It shouldn't even be that much work. I mean, yes, it's work, but it like
I can understand that, but it's like, maybe tell me sooner. Like, it's now the time. Ceremony goes great. We head to the reception. I'm at the kids' table, which is fine because I like the kids. The people I will reference are Matthew, 18-year-old boy, Tim, 20 boy, Issa, 20-year-old girl, and Grace, 14-year-old girl, as well as Sarah from earlier, and she is 16. Matthew, Tim, Grace, and Sarah are my cousins. And Issa is Tim's girlfriend, and I'm close with her. The venue starts serving me wine and don't ask for my ID, so they gave me about 4 glasses of Chardonnay, so keep that in mind. At the kids' table, we are talking about anything and everything. At one point, I'm telling Sarah and Grace to not drink, and don't smoke the devil's lettuce, don't vape. You know, being a girl's girl and watching out for my younger cousins.
Don't be me.
Don't be me. Learn from me. Then I come up with an after party for those who are old enough but can't go to bars. This was supposed to be for Tim, Issa, and me and Matthew, but we got his parents' permission and they let him drink all the time. Sarah would be there, but I wouldn't let her drink. As we're talking about it, and after we've gotten permission, we start talking about dancing, and Grace goes, I love dancing. So I go, hun, I'm sorry, but I don't think you should go. And she's like, why? And I'm like, I don't think you should be around booze. My family loves booze, so I know that if she went, she would be sneaking, and we all did at some point. So Grace asks her dad, and he says she can come out, but she has to ask her mom, and her mom said no. And then her dad said no. Obviously, she was upset. I would be too if everyone got to go somewhere and I couldn't go. So she was crying in the bathroom with Sarah and Jane there to comfort her. But they didn't realize that Sissy was there in the stall. So she heard everything. Grace is crying and saying, like, Kay, me, was right. I'm not allowed to go. Then Jane pops up and starts talking about how I'm a witch. Then, you know, teenage girl kicks in and Grace starts saying that I was bullying her all night and all this. Jane brings up how I pick on Sarah and then I talk about her teeth, all of which didn't happen. And I haven't talked about Sarah's teeth in 5 years when I myself was a hormonal teen. Then they go back into the reception and tell my aunt and uncle that I'm a witch and I was bullying them all night. I am blissfully unaware of this happening. I'm eating my wonderful steak, I make my wonderful toast, and the night ends, and I find out everyone thinks I'm a witch. All the adults are heading to the after party with the bride and groom, and I'm heading to Tim's house for our after party. I'm just getting more and more upset that everyone is believing these lies, and everyone thinks I'm a witch. And I turned over a new leaf with Jane just for her to betray me. So I'm at my house changing, and I decide I need to let some of this out before I drive the 30-minute drive in the dark when I'm still feeling this wine. I can admit it's never a good idea to text when you're angry, so I regret texting at that time.
But drinking and driving?
Well, maybe
Whoa,
we're
whoa,
not
whoa,
driving.
whoa.
I think before we're driving,
Oh,
we're
it's
texting.
okay.
But we're still under the influence while we're texting.
E.
I texted her, don't spread lies about me, and if you do, don't make it so I find out. Olive branch broken. Jane asks what lies I was talking about and said all she knew was that I had Grace crying in the bathroom with her. I said that Grace wasn't really crying about me. She was crying because her mom said no. And I said she probably isn't because we're going to be drinking. I said if not wanting a 14-year-old to be surrounded by booze makes me a witch, then I guess I'm an effing witch. Jane asked what lies and said because she spread no lies about me. I brought up that whole thing about Sarah's teeth. Jane said, oh, that happened. I said, I haven't talked about Sarah's teeth in years, and that was back when Sarah accepted it. Jane said the story was when I was there, so that's what she said. I said, I'm not going to argue, just don't expect us to be friends because this is just going to keep happening, and I don't need this crap in my life. Jane said she did nothing to me and asked who told me this, and that she was talking to Grace because she was upset. I sent her an audio message where I was mad that she made it a whole thing and told my aunt and uncle, and then I said that she was a witch all the time. I told her that I'll be cordial, but I don't care. Then I said, have a good night because I'm a petty witch. I said, I heard everyone talking about it. I said, Vic's wedding is over. We don't need to be friends. Jane said she never said I said something about Sarah's teeth now. She told the story because Grace came to their table upset that I was picking on her, which is a habit I have. She can assure me the family doesn't think that I'm a witch because of her. I'm really proving her point by sending her a nasty message the night of my sister's wedding. Her opinion on me is formed by my actions, which have been quite literally heinous. Keep going down this road and I'll find everyone feeling this way. I said, I'm not going to argue. I don't need her toxicity in my life. Her opinion means jack to me. I'm never going to bow down, and she hates that. Jane said, LOL, my toxicity, good luck in life. You'll need it. I said, thank you. Praying hands emoji. I appreciate it. But wait, there's more to this story.
There's more, Jane.
God.
I'm exhausted from
I'm
Jane.
So exhausted. Honestly, though, I'm exhausted by both of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I'm not
OP,
gonna
just stop replying to her.
Yeah, like really, like I get it, OP. I think you're less in the wrong, but the way that you're responding is like no less high school.
But the
than
thing is, OP's
Jane's.
a little crunky.
I
It's
know,
at the
but
wedding.
still, like even when she wasn't, like even at the other events, she's still like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." And it's like, come on, guys, let's fix it. So Monday, I got a call from Tim, and he never calls me. Tim works at the family business where Jane and all my other family works. I knew I would be the talk gossip for a while, but I didn't expect Tim to call me. He finally gets to the point, and he says, I think you overreacted the other night. I said, Tim, I love you, but I'm not talking to you about this. I don't want you to be in the middle of this because you shouldn't be. I said, I own up to my mistakes and my flaws, but I need time. I said this was a buildup of a really long time. I can see how it looks like an overreaction, but that was just me being done. Then I said, remember, there are 3 sides to every story, and I'm not a horrible person. And you would be a horrible person if you didn't listen to full episodes of stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. He said, I know that. I've known you since we were kids. Since we were babies. Then he said, but she's family, and I had to remind him that my relationship with Sissy is rocky because she did some effed up things, and I needed space, and our relationship still isn't the same. I told him that if my therapist says, hey, you're the a-hole, it'll still take me a while to say, hey, Jane, I was the a-hole. Anyway, he said he understood and all that, but basically all of my mom's side of the family thinks that I'm the a-hole. My grandparents on my dad's side are on my side. My verdict for myself is that I am the a-hole for texting when I was angry. I don't regret what I said, and I don't regret ending communications. So, am I the a-hole for cutting ties with my cousin the night of my sister's wedding?
I feel like the way you went about the situation, you could have done it a little bit better by just walking away, but
yeah,
overall, no. Even if your mom said, Jane is never wrong, even though she's wrong.
Right, like she won't ever admit that she's wrong.
Yeah.
Those people you really just can't argue with.
No,
what do you expect?
They're just draining.
Yeah.
Just don't put your energy into it, which is good for you, OP. You are moving on.
Yeah.
You cut off ties. You don't need to deal with her.
I volunteered to pay for one of my cousin's children. Now his siblings are jealous.
Now you have to pay for all of them. Uh-oh.
Them's the rules. Due to hard work, but also a lot of luck, my husband and I are fairly well off, while many of my family members are struggling financially. They're not going hungry, just having to cut corners. I am an only child, but have a very large extended family, and I grew up close to many of my cousins. By the way,
This comes from user StockSell1556, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Angie.
And we are here to give you good advice goofily. But we don't have all the answers. We just know what we do, so tell us what you would do in the comments. And OP says, one cousin's son has been swimming since he was 4, and swimming is basically his life. He is 15 and swims for his high school, but has also been swimming with a club for many years. His parents have scrimped to make this possible. There is a lot of travel involved, and now apparently even his suits, technical suits I think they're called, are hundreds of dollars, and he needs these for the championship meets. Basically, it's expensive, and they can no longer afford it. His coach is eager to waive the club fees to keep him in swim, but he can't cover all of the related costs. I've offered to pay for all of Deaton's swim expenses.
Wow.
He is good, and he is dedicated. He practices around 16 hours a week, getting up at 5 a.m. many mornings. He has an excellent chance of getting a scholarship to a D1 school. He's already getting attention from coaches. The problem is he has 3 siblings who also participate in activities, and my cousin is stopping those due to financial concerns as well. I also have several other cousins with whom I'm even closer who are in similar positions. Deaton's parents have graciously accepted my offer, but my aunt said that if I'm going to pay for Deaton to keep his sport, I need to pay for his sisters to keep dance, cheerleading, and art as well. Another cousin also says that I shouldn't pay for one of my cousin's child's activities without paying for hers too. I have about 30 first cousins. I can't pay for everyone. I could possibly be the a-hole because I guess it isn't fair, and I know these other children enjoy their sports and activities too, and it could look like favoritism. But I think I'm probably not the a-hole because so far the others aren't anywhere near as talented or as serious about their extracurriculars as Deaton is, and it will almost definitely land him a college scholarship. Am I the a-hole? And there are comments. I would like to say that this should have been known up front. If you've got 30 cousins and Deaton's got other siblings, and you were going to do this arrangement, it needed to be hush. Hush, hush.
Yeah.
It can't be something you're talking to all the other cousins and the aunts.
No.
It needs to be like a, hey, if we're going to do this, it needs to be calculated because that's what's going to happen. And it's like, yeah, you're rewarding his dedication and his talent and his, perseverance. He's good at it.
Yeah. Now you need to reward his silence
And
his discretion.
Yeah, you goofed up by not making that low key.
Yeah. Remind me, was he in danger of not playing this sport at all?
Yeah, because they couldn't afford the travel and the
Then I think you're totally
stuff.
fine. Because if it was like, oh, you're just doing it, you're just like, hey, let me just take over all the payments really quick. I know you're still gonna pay parents, but because I like him, I want to spend my money on it. It's like, no, if everyone else can afford to do their
No, they can't.
activities,
Everyone else is getting their.
No one's getting.
All of his siblings are getting their activities canceled as well.
Well,
It's rough.
it's rough.
But that's the job of those parents to
Yeah.
tell their kids, hey, we can't support all of the activities. Deaton Swim could get him a scholarship and get him into a school that we wouldn't be able to afford otherwise. So we're going to invest in Deaton's Swim.
Yeah.
And we love you all.
Or
I mean, it's parenting. It's hard, but
Yeah.
it's not on you now.
Yeah.
There are comments, not the a-hole. But why did anyone outside of Deaton's parents need to know that you were doing this? OP says, ugh. Because my family has a collective big mouth. Deaton's sisters complained to their grandma, who then reached out to me and apparently others as well, and I'm sure the whole family knows by now. I come from a very small town. A reply says Deaton's parents should have kept their mouths shut as well. Comment 2 says, you're not paying out for favoritism. You are investing in his future. Tell anyone who complains that they are welcome to pay for X or Y to do whatever they want. Your investment in your nephew is probably only going to be for 3 years. You can support another child with potential then. Not the a-hole. Opie says, this is the way I see it. This is going to help him succeed in the future. Not many of my cousins or their children have been able to attend college, and this is his chance. And there is an update. And yeah, that should have been the whole vibe the whole time. Yeah. Update. I had a talk with Deaton's parents over the weekend, and we worked things out. It turns out that they could easily afford their daughter's activities without Deaton's expenses.
Huh.
It's just that he recently became qualified to swim in national meets, and the cost was going to become prohibitively expensive. In the past, they've been able to drive to all his meets, even if sometimes they had to pay for a hotel, but now it's going to get much more expensive, and they just can't afford it. And they thought it would be more fair to just cancel activities for all their children. So I'm going to cover all of the swimming expenses, and the girls can keep their dancing, cheerleading, and art. According to the parents, their oldest daughter is a bit nosy and looked through their budget ledger and put it together how much was being spent on Deaton compared to her and her sisters. She told her sisters, and now they all feel they should get more, better clothes, phones, etc., and the youngest wants an expensive iPad for her art. Basically, they think their parents should be spending as much on each of them as they spend on their brother. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but regardless, things can be a lot more fair as to how their parents allocate their money for their children now that Deaton's swimming isn't eating up a large chunk of it. To be honest, the girls sound just a bit greedy to me, which I agree, personally. But it may just be that their feelings are hurt that their brother was getting more, and they are all just children after all. It turns out most of our large extended family that knows about this and has any opinion at all is in favor of Deaton continuing with swimming at all costs, and some even offered to pitch in what they could to make it happen. That isn't necessary, and these people don't have any more than Deaton's parents, so it's not up to them to make it up to Deaton's sisters. That more is being spent on him. It's really just the grandmother and one of her daughters, the kid's aunt, who are the troublemakers. The grandmother thinks all the kids should be treated the same by their parents, and if anyone other than their parents is going to help any one of them, they should all get equal treatment. Well, hey, Grandma, so you can sign up.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the money, Grandma?
Pay up, Mama.
But, by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search OK Storytime, and you can listen to all of our riveting tales. And there is a little bit left to this one.
Do it.
How the heck is she getting in the business ledger?
Good question.
She's like, Mom, actually, you are not spending enough money on us.
Yeah.
That's just
Like,
wild.
yeah, dude. That is like another level.
Now that all it's, clear, like, okay, all the other activities can continue.
Yeah.
There's no problem there.
Solved.
And this is now up to them
Yeah.
to parent their children.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's such a sibling thing to be like, well, they got 6 presents, I only got 5. Like, and it's like, well, aren't you happy with what you got? Like,
Yeah.
maybe we can teach them to, be happy for each other for getting something extra and being grateful for what they have. Like, how much different is their life going to be if they, get one more present?
You just set them all up and you go, you swim for it. If
There
you
you
could
go.
beat Deaton in a race,
Yeah.
I'll give you the iPad.
That's right.
Let's finish this. The aunt has a daughter who has just gotten into pageants, and I think this is a lot of where this is coming from. They have just started to realize how expensive pageants are, and both the grandmother and the aunt think that if I'm going to pay for Deaton swimming, I should also pay for Kaylin's pageant expenses, which is nowhere near the same thing. And if anything, I hate the pageants
Yeah.
because they just give people mental illness.
Yeah. Also, it's like not your choice. Like, it's OP was offering this. No one like reached out to OP and was like, "Hey, since you are like buco bucks rich, like, can we have some?"
Yeah.
No, it was like, "Oh my gosh, I love how into this he is, and I believe in him, and I want to fund."
Yeah.
Not how it works.
Deaton needs to swim. He's a fish man.
He's a fish man. Get him in that water.
OP continues, I don't see the same value in buying $500 fancy dresses for a 4-year-old as I do in supporting a future college athlete. So I'm not going to do that, and they're angry with me. I come from a huge family, and not everyone is going to agree with everyone else all the time. In fact, there is never a time when we're all in agreement over anything. But the important thing is that Deaton gets to keep swimming, and his sisters get to keep their activities as well. I imagine this will all blow over eventually, and that's the end of that story, and I believe you're right.
Yeah, I think it will.
It's gonna blow over like a cool breeze.
Yeah, and Deaton's just gonna be like, "You're super cool."
And Deaton's gonna swim up
Yeah.
like a lightning bolt
Yeah.
and say
Yeah.
thank you.
And then he's gonna disappear into the water.
We're hoping that he can learn how to swim through land.
He'll figure it out.
He might figure it
If
out.
anyone could, it's Deaton.
If Jesus walked on water,
You
Deaton
could
will swim through land. But
and that 4-year-old pageant girl is gonna someday thank you for not putting her through that.
I would think so.
Yeah.
But that is the end of that story.
My cousin wanted proof that we share the same father, but I refused.
No, I'm not feeling it.
Based on the title, you can tell that my family situation is pretty crazy. I, 21 female, am technically a revenge affair a baby. Oh.
A revenge affair, baby. I don't think we've had that one before.
I don't think so. I feel like we've only had it to their knowledge, or like when they're finding it out.
You truly are
yeah.
the Batman, the child of vengeance.
My dad, 47 male, was married to my aunt, 45 female, who was cheating on him with my mom's, 42 female, then husband James, 42 male. Whoa. Close range of family. By the way, this comes from Working Weight 8014, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
And I'm Dakota.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We just know what we would do in the situation. So let us know what you would do in the comments. So,
and if I was in this situation, I'd become a vigilante because I'm a vengeance baby.
There you go.
I need to seek justice.
As OP says, I'm not sure about all the details. I honestly don't really care to ask because yuck. But during their mutual divorces, my dad and my mom had a fling, which produced me. There was a DNA test, and after I was proven to be my dad's, he happily claimed me and signed the birth certificate. He didn't sign my cousin's Amanda, 21 female, birth certificate, and went back to his other country. My dad has dual citizenship to avoid child support for her. Yikes. Since she was born while my aunt was still his legally wedded wife, he was presumed to be the father, and James took off. Because of all of the drama, my mom and I were estranged from my aunt and Amanda. My aunt and Amanda thought for years that my dad had abandoned me too, when in reality, I took regular trips to see my dad in his mother's country, met most of his relatives, and can even speak the language at a high intermediate level. My mom made it clear that I was free to seek out a relationship with Amanda once I was old enough to drive, but warned me that there could be drama. I tried reaching out at 17, but she acted like she was so much better because she grew up in a 2-parent household. My aunt remarried while it was just me and my mom, and I washed my hands of it. We never followed each other on social media, and I never told my mom's side of the family about the other social media platforms, so I was able to keep my relationship with my father private until, I guess, Amanda, or someone Amanda knew, saw a picture of me with one of my paternal cousins online, and it set everything in motion.
I hate this. So much motion.
Too much, if you ask me.
Too much motion. Why can't people just let people be?
Just let them be. This isn't your issue. You're just the products of the issues. That's all. I didn't want to put in or maintain the effort to lie, so I made a long text message and sent it to a group chat with several members of my mom's family. Since my mom and aunt's respective marriages were a taboo topic, there was a firm don't talk about it mindset. A lot of people just assumed my mom was doing it all on her own, when really my dad was sending child support and having a relationship with me. Amanda and my aunt are now demanding that I give them my dad's contact info, his address in the country that he's in, and do a DNA test to prove that we're siblings, and then take it to my dad. But here's the thing. Amanda was formally adopted by her stepdad when she was 17. I don't like the idea of giving my genetic information to a private company unless absolutely needed. There's nothing stopping her from doing something like 23andMe to match with my paternal side. My dad's side of the family knows about Amanda, and they don't seem interested in knowing her. Dang. Get her.
Yikes.
Get her. Amanda is still being pretty awful to me, so I don't feel like doing anything to help her. So, knowing all this, am I the a-hole? And we have some comments, but what do you think, Dakota?
No, I feel like the vibe is Amanda would want the paternity just so that she could, like, claim like rights to like assets once people are passing away,
or she can get dual citizenship somehow if that's even available.
Yeah, it's not because she's like, I want to deepen my bonds with my biological family. It's like she's doing something.
Yeah, I feel like if you really want to make those bonds, it's like, well, those people still exist. Like, you still can. I know they don't have his contact information, but like, you don't need to like be legally related or biologically related to someone to have a relationship with them, you know? Like, you could still try to have that relationship if that's really what you want, but clearly. We do have some comments. Comment number 1 says, she can go F herself. You don't know her crap.
Dang.
Yeah.
Damn.
Comment number 2 says, whatever you do, love, don't spit on her. 1, she's not worth it. 2, she might test it, not the a-hole. Nice. Comment 3 says, couldn't Amanda satisfy her own curiosity just by doing her own ancestry test to find out if a large portion of her ethnicity matches OP's father's country of origin?
Yeah.
I would think that would be the simplest place to start.
Exactly.
OP responds, that's what I think she should do. I know at least one cousin on my dad's side, his maternal first cousin, who took the ancestry test thing, so Amanda could do that. Comment number 4 says, info. You two are the same age? Is Amanda older than you? And how many months or weeks are between you two? Is it like she was born in January, you were born in December, or is it more like May and June? So Aunt was cheating during her marriage to Dad with affair partner James, who was her brother-in-law and married to her sister, who was your mom. This is a comment trying to make sense of things, and I think that comment confused me.
That's a complicated family tree.
This sure is. Both your mom and aunt divorced, and your mom slept with your dad, her ex-brother-in-law, after the divorce. Because this sounds to me that you're not siblings, but cousins, and that James is her actual father, especially considering you being the same age. You were conceived during the divorce proceedings, and isn't it that you have to separate for like a year before you can actually divorce in most countries? And OP says, Amanda and I are 4 months apart in age, with her being older. My parents slept together while they were still legally married to other people. Affair, baby. And we do have an update.
A revenge affair, baby.
Revenge affair. Oh, boy.
Yeah, honestly, I think the situation here is she can totally do all this on her own and doesn't need anything from you. So
yeah,
why should she need?
But also, it's like, what are you gonna do? Get like a blood sample from your dad? Like, that's still, you can't do that. That's not in your ability. But there is an update. 15 days later, I told my cousin Amanda that she should do the ancestry thing to see who she matches with, that I would pass along her info to my dad. I said I was wiping my hands clean of the situation after that, before blocking her. I did pass along her contact info to my dad and told him that Amanda and his ex-wife, my aunt, had their intentions. I also informed him that Amanda was formally adopted after the courts declared that my dad abandoned her. As of right now, my dad has no intentions of ever going back to the US for any reason. However, he did check with his lawyers, and he basically told me that he had agreed to doing a DNA test on the condition that my aunt and Amanda sign a legal document absolving him of any child support he owed before Amanda was legally adopted, and that Amanda will have no claims on any of his property or assets when he passes. By the way, you have claims on our full episodes of stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. You're going to find all those episodes, and you're going to have a lot of fun with it. I promise you.
We promise you that.
We promise you that. That's a OK Storytime guarantee.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And there is a little bit more to this story, but...
And our hands are washed.
Our hands are washed. Get out of there. Go figure it out. Be a big girl and figure it out yourself.
That's what I would say.
Amanda. My dad has made it clear that he is not overly concerned if Amanda and my aunt don't agree, but would prefer to settle this just in case of potential issues in the future. I also spoke to my paternal grandmother. My paternal grandfather passed away years ago, and she said that she's never liked my aunt, is glad that my dad left her with as little money as possible, and that she can't be expected to love and care for a potential grandchild she's never met. Given that my grandmother didn't even like me until I was about 3, this is in character for her. Wait, what? Didn't even like you until you were 3? The affair, baby? That sucks.
Crazy.
The rest of my dad's maternal side seemed to be of the same mindset and will only consider talking to Amanda once she can prove she's related. And that is the end of that story. Would you look at that?
How you gonna hate on a baby?
Honestly, like, sure, it's a product of an affair, but like, come on.
The baby is not guilty.
Not at all.
It's a baby.
It's a baby. It can barely blink. You know?
It's a weird way to describe a baby.
Your Honor, that baby can barely blink. I don't think there's anything to be upset about.
You're right. The charges of grand larceny and felony fraud are being dropped. That baby can barely blink.
How well can you blink?
Who prosecuted this baby for fraud?
Not me. Not me.
But
That's
that
for sure.
is the end of that story.
My cousin said I ruined Thanksgiving because I refused to attend.
How's that ruining Thanksgiving?
And this comes directly from the r/OK Storytime subreddit. A few days ago, I, 29 female, was tasked to cook the whole Thanksgiving dinner for my in-laws. My husband, John, 30 male, absolutely loves my cooking and told his grandma that I could make some desserts. But she said my new granddaughter can do the entire meal. I feel like this is a test from her or something, and I absolutely accept it. She's such a doll of a person. By the way, this comes from Radiant Plantain 243, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Riley.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice, Goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. Well, traditionally, I spend Thanksgiving with my dad's side of the family. I told them all that I won't be attending this year, and my cousin Sarah, 60 female, who's the host, cried on the phone and said that I'm ruining the family dinner and I'm taking half of the table away by not sticking to tradition. I told her I apologize and I would try if I could, but more than likely I won't be coming and will be with my in-laws. I actually have another reason why I don't want to go, and my hubby agrees. Sarah has a daughter, 49 female, let's call her Diana. Diana is a heavy drinker. She drinks liquor more than water. Actually, her lifestyle is a bit scary, but I have to give some background before I jump right in and sound like I'm bashing her. I love my cousin. So when I was born, my dad told my mom not to put his name on my birth certificate and not to tell anyone that I'm his. For some dumb but reason, she went along with it. Now till this day, there's a random man's name on my birth certificate. This is relevant. My mom's dad was furious with her for going along with that, so he forced her to take me to meet my paternal grandparents. They adored me instantly and eventually introduced me to the rest of the family. I was about 6 months to a year. Diana met me and instantly fell in love. She would babysit me sometimes on the weekends that I was with my papa. By the time I was 4, my paternal grandmother passed away, and during her funeral was the first time I met my dad. I genuinely didn't know that's who he was until I was about 7. I would see him from time to time in between, but I thought he was some random white guy that would just pop up. Both sides of my family were all black, so I was super confused. I found out later that my dad is adopted and is Armenian. After my grandmother passed away, her family, which included Sarah and Diana, told my papa that he's still welcome to family functions because he's family no matter what. So every year we'd spend all major holidays with them. Diana has a brother, let's call him Ted. Ted was my favorite cousin. He was the sweetest man in the world, and he treated me like a princess. He lived with Diana and had a son, Junior, who I would love to visit with. I would spend a lot of time at Diana's house throughout my childhood. When I turned 8, Ted passed away. That was the day that shook the entire family. Sarah stopped eating and became very sick when she heard her son was gone. Even my Aunt Karen, Sarah's mom, who was a normally peppy person, had a complete personality change. I noticed all of this as a kid. The first holiday after his passing was so heavy. Everyone basically had their heads low the entire time. From Ted's passing till today, I watched my family's love turn into tolerance for me. Around this time, my dad comes back around. He never took care of me, and no one ever mentioned it. It was actually kind of weird not seeing this man that I was just told was my father all year long, just to see him at dinner where he barely talks to me. No one said anything about it. When I turned 13, my papa passed away, and my eyes were open to everything that was going on in the family. Maybe it was his passing that took the blinders off. The day of his funeral, I heard them all bickering over his belongings and his will that hadn't even been read out yet.
Oh my gosh.
But they were in a corner in the church trying to figure out who was getting his cars and house. Well, all of their faces fell when they heard that I had been left everything. Good on you, OP. Because clearly you had a relationship with them, or with your grandfather, that they did not have because they just wanted his money. My dad, most of all, was hurt. He was my papa's only child, and he spoiled my dad rotten. I noticed a big change once my papa was gone. No one called me unless it was to come for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Diana stopped coming to get me, so that took Junior away from me, and I started to feel like an extra they needed on holidays, a prop. When I turned 16, my dad found a way to steal my entire inheritance. The house, all 3 cars, and the money. I had gone through a lot of depression and was doing things I genuinely wasn't ready for.
Time out.
Please go to court?
That, and don't
Please
you have
go
like
to court?
a trust? And I remember we read something a while ago, and the people that are in charge of the trusts, what are they called? They're supposed to be responsible to make sure all that stuff is kept together.
Yeah. And then some time passed by and I got pregnant with my son. When my dad found out, he tried to fight me. My whole family doesn't approve. My son is the most handsome, intelligent, sensitive, and strong young man I know. I named him after my cousin Ted. After my little Ted turned 2, I really started to feel like a family prop. But now, as a mother, I don't want my son to have that feeling of not belonging like me. Everything was brushed over and no one spoke on anything. I was older now, and I guess Diana saw me as an equal. Well, that's what she said. I now know better, so she would call me a lot and we'd talk about any and everything. Well, eventually the conversations changed from normal, lighthearted cousin conversation to something else. She would constantly keep reminding me that she was 19 years older than me and that she helped raise me. Babysitting is not raising. She would talk down about my mother. She would praise me being a good mom and then tell the story of how she can't get pregnant because of some genetic fertility issues that she had in common with my grandmother. She would complain that it wasn't fair that I have a baby and she didn't. At first, I just let her go on, but eventually it started to bother me because she went from adoring me to envying everything that I do, even if it was a bad choice.
Oh my gosh.
When I turned 23, I was completely done with everyone in my life treating me less than. So I developed a nice, hard, shiny backbone and was ready for any and everybody.
All right.
She called me one night, super wasted, and told me she was just sitting there with a drink thinking about her brother. I saw that they did a memorial for him on Facebook, and it was beautiful. She said, yeah, we did. We should have invited you, but I didn't know if you had work. I told her if she'd called, I would have told her that I didn't have work today, and I would have loved to come. It's okay, though. She said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were going to be sad about it. I told her, I'm not. It's okay. I don't need a memorial to have a memory of him. She said, right. Because you have a sweet baby Ted to remember my brother who I took care of, my brother who you named your baby after. I didn't even know you were all that close. My brother who passed away in front of me. What is your problem, girl? You both love your brother.
Yeah, this vibe's kind of weird, man. I don't like it.
I would be going no contact.
Yeah, absolutely.
I asked her if she was mad. What's going on? She told me, F you. You have the audacity to be mad about not coming to my brother's memorial. You didn't come any other time either. I told her to stop, that she never invited me. And she's going to stop raising her voice at me. I'm not a kid anymore.
There we go. That backbone. I see it, OP.
Yeah. She said, you are a kid. Just because you had a kid doesn't mean crap. I told her I feel like she only called me because she feels guilty. And it's just easier to be mad at me than to acknowledge that she left me out intentionally. Again, it's okay. Then she hung up on me. I was so confused. I called Junior to ask if he had spoken to his aunt and if she was okay because she called very angry. He told me that earlier that day he asked the family at large why I never come to my dad's memorials. I thought this was for family. He said that Sarah and Diana told him to shut up. I told him my theory that I'm just a prop piece in the family to help fill the table on holidays and that I'm okay with that. I just wish that everyone would acknowledge it and maybe it would help me let go of them. He told me that they have been having memorials and other family events that included my father but excluded me for years, and that it always bothers him. I told him that it was okay and not to be upset for me. I love them unconditionally because whatever problem they have against me has nothing to do with him and doesn't tarnish my love for him or his dad. I told him that they were the only two who genuinely loved me and treated me like family. So knowing that helps more than anything. So about 5 years later, I kept Diana at arm's length, but she would occasionally call wasted to tell me that she envied my life. Block this woman. Block this woman.
Yeah,
I'd be like, girl, you need to stop.
It's okay to do that with family.
Sometimes I'd answer because I felt bad for her. But sometimes I would answer and let my grandma hear how absolutely batcrap crazy she was. Junior called me and invited me to a memorial at the passing spot of his dad. I told him of course I would come. I met him and Diana at the location. Diana told us that no one else in the family wanted to do the memorial anymore and that she was only doing it for Junior and me this year and wouldn't be returning. His face clouded over, and she didn't know what she had said had hurt him. We prayed, played his favorite song, and took a shot of tequila in his name. When we were saying our goodbyes, Diana brought up again how she's not coming back to do this, and that the only reason was for Junior, and because I never got a chance to come. I was absolutely done with her at this point, so I said to her, I love you, Diana. I just want you to know that you didn't come here for me. You came here out of guilt. Guilt for your brother, for his son, and stand for me. But honey, I release you from any guilt you feel towards me. But I refuse to let you turn this moment for this man's father into something about you. If you don't want to be here, then leave. I absolve you from feeling obligated to me. She starts shouting and wanting to speak to Junior alone, but he was very upset and aired out all of his grievances. He told her that he hates that she gets wasted and makes everything about her. He hates how the family sweeps everything under the rug. He hates how I'm never invited to things, hates how they treat me like family when it's convenient for them, and he hates how fake they all are. She tells him some stuff is for the family. I started laughing and said exactly, I'm glad you finally said it. Some stuff is just for family. And you all never really saw me as family. Just a baby your dumb butt cousin abandoned. Tried to walk up on me like she wanted to fight, but I snatched her up and put her in her car. She threatened to call the police on me. I then left and called Junior to tell him that from now on, we'll do the memorials ourselves. I love my cousin and his father so much, and I just want to see him happy. I stopped talking to Diana completely. I still get invited to holidays, so I would speak to everyone but her. I wouldn't be outwardly rude, but she knew not to even direct a word in my direction. So now, I'm at this point in my life where I don't even feel bad for not wanting to be a part of the family at all. And by the way, you should be a part of our family by listening to full episodes with stories just like this.
Yeah!
Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. I do feel saddened that my Aunt Karen has dementia. My dad and I have worked through most of our problems and have a very beautiful relationship, surprisingly. But he also agrees with me not wanting to be a part of things. He's been to a few therapy sessions with me, and he admits that he was jealous of me, and maybe that's why the family treats me the way they do. Their loyalty is to him, and for most of my life, he disliked me, so they acted accordingly. I'm not mad at anyone or even sad about it at all. I'm just happy to have it acknowledged, and I'm proud of myself for creating these boundaries that have kept me and my children safe from people who give themselves titles in your life just for show. If you got to the end of this, thank you for reading my family drama. And that is the end of that story. My grandmother threatened to sue me for grandparents' rights after my father's affair.
So whose fault is this?
I, 32 female, have had a rough 6 months with my family. My parents are now divorced after 33 years of marriage because my father got cheating again, and I've been emotionally supporting my mother along the way. But now my grandmother is threatening with a lawyer. By the way, this comes from Second Time Over, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Riley.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you do in the comments. Over 3 years ago, my son, now 6, and I were living back home with my parents due to my divorce from a bad man. I had full custody of my son. I had been seeing my now husband for about a year at this time, and we were looking at apartments and houses to move into together since it was a long-distance relationship. In the evenings, after putting my son to bed, I would wait until both my parents headed to bed and spend a little time video chatting with my husband. One night, after getting my son into bed, I went to the living room, sat on the couch, and scrolled on my phone while watching TV. My position on the couch was sort of behind one of the chairs, my dad's chair, and he was still up and on his phone. He had acted weird before, saying goodnight to my son, but the reason didn't register until later. He placed his phone screen down in his lap. It didn't seem too strange in the moment. Between looking up at the TV and scrolling my phone, I caught a glimpse of his phone in his hands and was confused by the colors and format of what was on his screen. I opened my camera app and zoomed in. What I saw was the Messenger app, with the background changed to the light pink and hearts theme and dark pink message bubbles. Right away, red flags. I instantly started sharing this via text with my husband. My parents both left their phones in the living room at night to charge, so when it was time for bed, my dad plugged it in and left the room. I took that as my opportunity to go and see if what my gut told me was happening was true or not. I thought finding out my exes had cheated on me felt terrible, but in this moment, seeing proof that my own father was being this way toward my mother was even worse. The messages I read and the pictures I saw said it all. I might be the a-hole for going into his phone and collecting proof of what I found. That's fine, but I do not regret it one bit, because I had to tell my mother the next morning and I had to show her some of the messages. No pictures, because a daughter shouldn't have to see her father's unmentionables, let alone save them on her phone. My mom confronted him immediately. He denied having anything more than an emotional connection with the girl, let's call her Jen, but he said it had been going on for 6 months.
Whoa.
My mom kicked him out of the house that day. She told him she needed time and space to figure this out. Keep in mind that during those 6 months of just talking and building their emotional connection, My parents took a small vacation to celebrate their 30th wedding anniversary. Shortly after that, my mother nearly passed away from a biopsy gone wrong. All while these events and milestones were happening, he was busy building a relationship with Jen. Jen is also my age. After my mother kicked him out, my father had to tell both my sister and me separately about what was going on. I was second on the list because of transportation. This man looked me in the eyes and lied to my face when I asked if he cheated and slept with Jen. He denied it.
What?
That's crazy because OP is the one who found out, obviously.
Denied? What were you talking to then? An AI bot? What's happening?
2 weeks later, he was allowed back into the house and even shared a bed. For me, it was sickening to see that my mother would try to move past it like it didn't happen and try to move forward. She did therapy and counseling. He broke things off with Jen and had to delete all forms of social media. I told her I would support her in any decision she made. From there on, I played nice and didn't ruffle any feathers with either of them. My son and I moved out shortly after, and my husband has a zero tolerance policy concerning cheaters. He pulled away the most from my parents, mostly my father. But over the next 3 years, we both made solid efforts to build a different kind of relationship with my father. The relationship with my mother went right back to normal for us and only got stronger with time. 6 months ago, my father went in for shoulder surgery. My mother held onto his phone, which was turned off when given to her, when the nurses rolled him away. She sat in the waiting room for updates, but then she had a moment, call it her gut, telling her she needed to check his phone. She hadn't been checking his phone during the last 3 years because he told her he wanted their marriage to work, and she trusted that. Sure enough, she turned his phone on and found messages with Jen from that morning. My mother read through enough of the conversation and then called me. Right away, I knew what had been done. This time, she was done. Only a few hours later, she was purchasing moving boxes and getting a plan in place. After he woke up from surgery, she was cold and handed him his phone. She could tell from his face that she knew, and he knew it was over. I have been emotionally supporting my mother this whole time and from a distance because I live hours away. My father sent me one handwritten letter barely 2 weeks after it happened, asking that I don't keep my son away from him.
Ooh.
This triggered a few things for me. I'm married and have a blended family. I now have 3 bonus daughters. He chose to only address the one biologically related and not my family as a whole. And not even me, his daughter. After getting the letter, we had to tell our kids that their grandparents were getting a divorce. They asked why. We don't full-blown lie to our kids. We tell them the truth in ways that they can understand. We allow them to enjoy being kids, but we're also preparing them to grow up and be able to hold real discussions and real-world conversations.
As a person, you have to pick if you're going to be a great husband or a great dad. He's neither. How do you do that?
Yeah, he's failed on both accounts. So when they asked why, we had to tell them that their grandfather broke the trust and promises made to their grandmother, and that we are here to support her. They were so upset, but they knew it was time to love on their grandmother more than ever before, and they did just that. But my husband and I had to make the decision not to allow my father to be a part of our family for the time being, and especially while he was still not taking responsibility for his actions. He wasn't owning it.
What?
He was trying to be the victim. My father had to move in with his mother. She is in a wheelchair and doesn't like to leave her house unless she absolutely has to. This is my grandmother. She was my #1 favorite person in the world until I had my son, who stole my heart. And I was, until recently, her favorite grandchild, and my son her favorite great-grandchild. I'm the middle grandchild, and my son is the youngest great. I'm not sure why we are her favorite in comparison, and I'm not sure I'll ever find that out. Since my father moved in with my grandmother, we believe he isn't telling her the full story or the truth. My grandmother verbally lashed out at my mother, and my mother was her favorite above her own 5 kids and blamed her for everything. My grandmother got it in her head that my mother had been the one cheating, not my father. And my father isn't telling her otherwise. He wasn't telling anyone the truth, just that they had grown apart. Over the summer, my family traveled up for a vacation because we had our extra long distance extended family visiting. During this vacation, we had a down day at the house in town. I took the kids to run an errand and spend some time while others slept in. I thought about swinging in to visit my grandmother so she could see all the kids. But the night before, my father texted my mother saying he took those days off from work and wanted to join us on our day trips with our guests. Per my husband and me, we said no. We weren't going to put ourselves or our kids into a situation we don't want. Since my father took the days off, I didn't want to chance bringing my kids over to visit in case he was there. So we didn't visit. My grandmother found out we were in town and didn't stop by. And that's what caused her to finally yell at my mother and blame her for my choice not to bring the kids by. My grandmother never reached out to me directly. I tried to swing by for a visit while driving through on my way to a work event. I wanted to clear the air with her and get a chance for her to visit with at least my son since I brought him along. I went one day and other family showed up, so I didn't get the chance to talk. But I planned to stop by the next day with my son. And I texted my father telling him I was going to stop by, but would ask that he wasn't in the house while my son was there. I wanted my son and my grandmother to have a chance to visit. He chose that moment to tell his mother about my ask. She freaked out and told him to tell me not to bother if he couldn't stay too. I didn't visit. My husband stepped in like the man I needed him to be and had a whole other conversation with my father, defending our choice on why we don't want him around yet, and giving him the answers on how to change this all around. A month ago, I got a letter in the mail from my grandmother. It was all over the place, but the part we can't get past is where she says she has a family lawyer but wants to try to keep this out of court. She believes that she and my father have grandparents' rights and are entitled to my child.
Under special circumstances.
And these aren't very special. By the way, you know what is special? Listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. I have drafted a letter for both my grandmother and father, both to include printed copies of the screenshots of my father's conversations with Jen from 3 years ago, and a full breakout of all the events and facts I know to be true. My husband wants us to get a lawyer first and have a cease and desist drafted and sent to them, along with or without the letter I wrote. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for not allowing my father to be part of my kids' lives while he continues to lie and cheat his way through this whole situation? We want positive role models in our kids' lives. And am I the a-hole for wanting to share all my facts and evidence with my grandmother and father? And am I in the wrong for wanting to go against my husband's wishes of getting a lawyer and just send the letters and speak my piece at last? And that is the end of the story. I do think that maybe you should get a lawyer just to protect yourself and your family.
And then countersue.
Or also send, well, they haven't sent a suit against them yet.
But if they do,
yeah.
prep for a countersue.
But I do think that you should tell your grandmother everything.
I'm hesitant to show up at a family gathering because I might get stuck again.
Again? What happened?
I am a 29-year-old woman living in the Netherlands, and my family situation is very complicated. When I went no contact with my mom 6 years ago, the rest of my family slowly backed away too. They believe a daughter must stay connected to her mother, no matter how the mother behaves. So even though I never chose to cut off my cousin or my aunt, I became no contact with them as well. It felt like my whole family closed their doors the moment I protected myself. By the way, this comes from Unlikely Second 4630, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Angie.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. Let us know what you would do in the comments. Opie says, there is something that makes this situation even more painful. This cousin is not just any family member. She's the person I grew up with. I'm an only child, and she was the closest I ever had to a sister. We spent every summer together. We traveled together. We played together. We talked for hours. With the rest of my extended family, there was always a language gap, and my mom had to step in to translate or speak for me, which created even more pressure. But with my cousin, everything felt natural and safe. She was my friend and my family at the same time. Even though we have not spoken for years, I still care about her deeply. I still love her. Her baby would have meant a lot to me if things had been different. That is why this choice is so difficult. A part of me truly wants to be there because of the bond we once had. Next week, my cousin is having a christening for her new baby boy. In most families, this would be a sweet celebration. In my case, it brought up a lot of fear and old wounds. I grew up in a strict African and religious home while also trying to live in the Dutch culture, which is much more open. I often felt like I was living two lives. My mom repeatedly crossed my boundaries in ways that now make me realize she had strong self-absorbed traits. She went through my belongings without permission, which is a classic control tactic. She checked my teachers and acted as if she was investigating me, even though I was always the top student. She tracked my location, treated my achievements as her property. She accused me of being a bad girl even when I did everything right, which is a common way self-absorbed parents rewrite reality to maintain control. She ignored my emotional needs and even my medical needs, which fits the way self-absorbed parents often deny or dismiss their children's pain. Looking back, I see so many patterns. Everything had to revolve around her. My feelings did not matter unless they helped her image. 6 years ago, everything collapsed during my master's graduation. I was valedictorian, and it should have been a happy moment. Instead, it became one more example of self-absorbed behavior. My mom controlled who I could invite. She made the day about her and not about my achievement. Family members I paid tickets for didn't show up, which added to the chaos. I was not allowed to bring my partner because she was not from the same African background. I had to hide my own relationship. During that time, I was dealing with depression and heavy drinking, and I even attempted to end my life. When I needed her support, she was not there. Self-absorbed parents often disappear when their child is in a crisis because the focus is no longer on them. After that moment, I cut contact to survive. Since then, my aunt was the only relative who reached out, but she told me very clearly that she would always choose my mom. That made it impossible to trust her. Now suddenly, I hear my cousin had a baby. I did not even know she was pregnant. My mom sent me a cryptic message one day of the birth. My aunt called me after. My cousin only sent a PDF invitation and nothing else. Before this, I would send her birthday messages. She never replied. The christening is in another country. If I go, I would have to travel alone. My aunt already told me that I must update my mom about everything, even though we haven't spoken in years. My mom has now started messaging me like nothing happened. Self-absorbed parents often act as if the past does not exist in order to force their children back into the old role. None of them acknowledge the damage or the history. I'm scared that if I go, I will be cornered and pressured into a forced reconciliation. In my culture, the family will often team up to protect the mother and silence the daughter. I worry I will not have a safe way out. It's expensive to travel and emotionally exhausting to even think about going. These people have shown very little care for me for years. I've been thinking about this nonstop, and I need to give my answer soon. Part of me feels guilty because that is what I was trained to feel. Another part of me is terrified that going back will drag me into the dynamic I fought my way out of. If anyone here has been in a similar situation, I would really appreciate your thoughts. Would you go, or would you protect your peace and say no? Thank you so much for reading this. It means more than you know. And we have some comments, but
Wow.
yeah.
That's a situation that I have no personal experience with.
Yeah.
But
I feel like it's also one where it's so much easier to say what you think should happen from like our outsider perspective, having
Yeah.
not gone.
right.
Like to me, I'm like, yeah, don't go, dude. Like protect
Same.
your peace. But
Yeah.
I'm sure with like so many emotions and stuff, it's
Right.
so much harder. Comments. Commenter 1. If you want my advice, don't go. I think your gut is right. You can't trust your aunt with information, and yes, you will likely be cornered. Have you heard from your cousin at all over these 6 years, or is it just the PDF invitation? Say you have other plans and can't get time off from work. That time doesn't work for you, but send them a gift for the child instead. That is what I would do. If it smells like a trap, it most likely is. OP says, thank you for your advice. It really helps because my gut has been telling me the same thing. To answer your question, I have barely heard from my cousin in these 6 years. Maybe 2 small phone calls and a video call when the baby was born. That was the first time I had seen her again. Before that, she never replied to my birthday messages. After the video call, she just sent me the PDF invite and nothing more. What makes it confusing is that she was like a sister to me when we were younger. I am an only child, and she was the closest person I had. We spent every summer together and shared everything. I still care about her, and her baby would have meant a lot to me in another life. But she also used to tell me to hide who I am to avoid trouble in the family. She still follows traditional expectations, even though she was also born in Europe. That makes me afraid I will be pushed back into the old family role if I go. Your comment confirmed what I have been feeling. If it feels wrong, it probably is. I think sending a kind message and a gift might be the safest choice for me. Commenter 2 says, don't go. Your family simply wants you to accept everything and move on. As long as you stay away, you are a constant reminder that they are toxic. If they can get you to fold, they can now feel justified and continue on like the perfect people they think they are. This is, like everything, about them. Send your cousin a congratulatory letter and a small gift. Then block your aunt, as she is simply a flying monkey. And we have an update. I agree with those comments.
Yeah, I would agree
I like
too.
the flying.
Yeah. Would also agree with that.
Would agree. Thank you, everyone, for the support and advice. I wanted to give an update because your comments helped me finally take action. I ended up texting my mom, my aunt, and my cousin that I could not come to the christening and that I would send a present instead. My cousin received a longer and more personal message from me. I told her why I could not be there, that I would send a gift, and that I hoped I could meet her and her family another time. I got a bit emotional while writing. She replied with a thumbs up and her address. Nothing more. And you guys can always make the right choice, which is listening to more full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts, search up OK Storytime.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit more. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. I think that really just confirms what we were already thinking, that the cousin doesn't really care to have that relationship with you. She's obviously just doing this out of, like, you know, politeness and kind of, I don't know what to call it, but
I
just
wouldn't even be
obligation, I guess.
surprised. Like, I feel almost like this is, because I'm assuming OP's aunt is this cousin's mother.
Yes, me
That's how
too.
I was taking it.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is even just her, like, the aunt has said so many things over the years that cousin just thinks that OP, like, doesn't like her that much.
Yeah, maybe.
You probably are both being manipulated a little bit.
Could be, but kind of can't do much about that, I guess.
My mom got a short and clear message. Her first response sounded nice, so I felt a little hopeful for a moment. Then she immediately asked for my new address. I never told her I moved. I only mentioned it offhand to my aunt in a phone call last week, so I guess my aunt passed it on. My aunt sent a kind voice message at first, then her address, and then told me she's been sick for the last 4 years. I do not really know how to feel about that. The timing felt strange, and I honestly do not know what she expects from me. I'm sitting with mixed feelings, relieved that the decision is made, sad because the reactions felt distant, and a bit confused because the dynamic is still the same as before. But I also feel proud of myself for protecting my peace and setting a boundary that I needed. Thank you again for helping me think clearly. It meant a lot. And that is the end of that story.
Wow.
Good for you, though. Don't cave to their craziness.
Yeah. You don't need to. My cousin posted a medical sympathy video, but her treatment was already over. What, she just wants, like, some attention? I know the title sounds terrible, but please read first before judging. A few months ago, my cousin, whom I am close with, was diagnosed with cancer. She was extremely lucky, though, because it was caught very early. It had not spread, and she had a medical procedure to remove the tumor. By the way, this comes from Pepper Alternative 905, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We just know what we would do in these situations, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, the last I knew, she was recovering wonderfully, and the doctors believed she was in the clear and making a full recovery, other than needing to go in for frequent checkups for a while. So thankful. However, yesterday, I was shocked to see that she posted one of those videos with emotional music of her husband shaving her head, discussing about her fight. Immediately, I panicked and called her, thinking something happened, that they found it again and it returned. When I asked her what happened and if she was okay, she said that she was fine, but sounded annoyed. So I pressed further, what happened? I saw that you shaved your head. Do you need chemo? Is it back? Etc. She again insisted that she was fine. So I flat out asked her why she cut her hair then. To which she replied, "It's what you do when you have cancer." I got really confused at first, but then remarked something along the lines of, "That's wonderful that you're shaving out of solidarity of everyone fighting." She huffed again and said no, she didn't do it out of solidarity. She had to cut her hair, and she was annoyed that she had to, and complained for a solid 5 minutes about how she was going to take care of a bald head, and she was going to look awful with short hair, will constantly need to wear hats this summer, etc. I am completely baffled at this point, and I'll admit I was a little annoyed. I don't take care or treatment lightly. So I said, cousin, people don't cut their hair just because they have cancer. They cut it because they're going to undergo a treatment that will make their hair fall out. Your treatment is done. You had no reason to cut your hair. If you did it in a show of support, that's fine too, but you have no right to complain or be annoyed when you choose to cut it and then post a video about it to gain sympathy because you did so. Okay, what are our thoughts on that?
I mean, it's true.
I mean, it is kind of true.
I'd have to agree with OP.
Right.
Because, like, I don't know, like people, exactly what she said, like, people do it.
Yeah.
Because it's going to fall out anyway, and so it's just like, you know, it's going to look weird, and people,
Right.
you know, just do it.
Right.
And she's just like, oh, no, I have to do, even though I'm done
Yeah.
with treatment, and I don't have
It's
cancer.
just like what you have to do when you have cancer.
You've ever seen a person with a full head of hair with
I don't think so. How was anyone going to believe I had cancer if I don't shave my head?
right?
Oh my God. She told me I was being a witch and yelled at me for not supporting her and how I could be so, and how could I be so unkind? Now, I was by her side for every appointment when she was diagnosed and her husband couldn't be there. I was there for a few days post-surgery to help her and her family out. I always have and always will support her. But this is not that at all. I feel like I'm losing my mind because she thinks that having cancer automatically equals cut your hair no matter what, even if you're already, as far as you know, recovered. So I might be the a-hole because, simply put, I got snippy with the patient for cutting her hair. But I feel like I'm not, since it wasn't necessary to do in the first place. Am I the a-hole? And there are some comments, but what say you?
I mean, I don't think you're the a-hole. I feel like it, not that she's being like unsympathetic or anything, because obviously this woman has cancer and
Sure.
it may return it or whatever. But
Right.
I mean, the fact that she's making it like a public statement,
Yeah.
it's tricky because like she has cancer. Well, she had,
Right.
you know, so she could do whatever she wants, I guess. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just like, you know, if you're doing it for the sympathy card, do it for the sympathy card, I guess. But I don't know. You really, all in all, you did not have to do that.
Right.
It's not required.
Yeah, I think maybe you're the a-hole for just getting snippy at her. Like, you probably could have brought it up in a way that's like, you know, just want to let you know you didn't need to do that. Like, because she already shaved her head. She did it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's no going back.
Yeah, so it, you know, if it was right before, then you could have been like, no, you don't need to do that. Like, it's okay. But
Yeah. Too
but-
late.
Yeah, too late. So maybe you could have been nicer because she already did this thing that she's not happy with, obviously. So yeah. But I mean, yeah, you're not wrong though. But we have some comments here. Remarkable Echo says, I don't think you're an a-hole, but maybe there is more going on here with her emotional state. Just be there for her as much as you can. She's obviously feeling something that has made her do this. OP says, I'm trying. I mentioned it in another comment as well that I think she heard the diagnosis and was preparing for the worst. And then when the worst didn't happen, it's almost like she's in a too good to be true mindset. Like, even though she's been told it's over, she doesn't feel it. Popular Extension says, not the a-hole. Sounds like you love your cousin tremendously, but her drastic actions are just odd. Try talking to her husband and explain that you weren't trying to upset her, but you're confused and worried. Maybe he will have some insight. This looks like attention seeking. Maybe it is, or maybe it isn't, but it's odd. Good luck. OP says, unfortunately, if it was done for attention seeking, then I can almost guarantee that her husband was behind it. He's not a bad spouse or person, really. Just very woe is me, if that makes sense. Popular Extension replies again, oh, well, that sucks, honestly. Have you tried talking to her parents or siblings if she has any? Opie says she has no siblings, which is part of why she and I are so close. More like sisters than cousins. Unfortunately, her father passed away a few years ago, and her relationship with her mother is hit or miss, as they are both hot-headed and even the best intentions evolve. Imagine her reaction to me, but if I had responded with equal snark and it went on for hours. That's her and her mom, lol. I'm basically it, other than her other close friends, so I will reach out to them as well. Not sure what they all know. I'm not saying this to toot my own horn or anything, but to be there and support her the way I tried to. Not everyone is willing or able to do that. I don't know. It's tough. Maybe I can ask her oldest daughter too. She's 13. She may be able to help me figure out her mom's mental state. And we do have an update here, but what do you have any thoughts before we move on?
This woman thinks and baldness go hand in hand,
That is true.
but that's not the case.
Yeah, I feel like OP, I don't think you need to talk to the other friends about it, especially if they don't know about it, because you don't need to be like, hey, did you guys see what she posted online? Did you talk to her about that? And then they say
Yeah.
no, and then you're like, okay, well, here's the tea. Like, here's why she's crazy.
Yeah, kind of like spreading all of her info. And
Yeah, like
just
you don't
being
need
like,
to do that.
yeah, that feels like way too much
Yeah, exactly.
to like prove a point.
Right. I think if the one thing I think you should not go about this with is like the argument that you're just standing up for all the people that have to undergo chemo and that treatment. You know what I mean? Because like you said, you take it very seriously, which, sure, go ahead. But like if you haven't experienced that, then I don't think you should be taking too much offense by it, because she has a much closer experience to that than you do if you haven't. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, she's a literal survivor.
yeah. So
But then like did some weird stuff after.
yeah,
I don't know.
right. So maybe she is in that too good to be true mindset, or maybe she, maybe the sympathy video is just her trying to cope with everything that just happened.
Maybe she feels left out.
Yeah, maybe she was.
She's like, wait, I forgot the most important part.
right. But we do have an update. Wow, I can't believe this had so many reactions. For now, I'm just leaving her be, and hopefully she will come to me when she is ready and we can figure out what's really going on. If we do, I will be sure to post an update. Also, to the people who told me that I was judging her and it's not my place what she does with her hair, I would just like to clarify that I told her why people with cut their hair, because I feel like she should know that it's not automatically equal cutting your hair. I wasn't telling her she shouldn't cut it, that's her choice, but what I was telling her is that she shouldn't complain about having done it, since she did this out of her own free will. Regardless, I have admitted in several comments that I did not handle it correctly, and this was still not the best response, and I own that 100%. And we do have a second update from a week later.
Oh.
We're just over halfway through this story, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see how things hopefully resolve.
Oh, what else? Who else is going to shave their head?
Right. OP should shave her head. OP should shave her head out of solidarity with someone else that shaved their head for some reason. Yeah. Update number 2, a week later. My original post got a lot more responses than I thought and had a lot of people calling my cousin an idiot, so I wanted to give an update. Some of you said her head was not in the right place. Some of you also asked about her husband, and it was a combination of those that turned out to be the truth. It had been about a week, and my cousin called me to come over and talk to her. When I got there, I immediately apologized for my reaction to her actions, and I assured her that I will always support her no matter what, and that I was just confused and in shock, and I didn't think before I spoke. She started bawling and told me how she felt like she was so stupid for doing what she did. She told me that ever since her diagnosis, she feels like she's just been walking around feeling lost. She was so concerned about the repercussions on her family, on her daughter, that she had all this building on her, and then when she was told that she was practically in the clear, rather than having a weight lifted off her shoulders, she just kept feeling like she had to keep looking behind her, waiting for the scary monster to pop back out. And that she also has guilt because she got off easy. Her words, not mine. Unfortunately, she chose to express these feelings to her husband, who convinced her that shaving her head would help. A bunch of bull about how it would help her feel more in control and would be empowering. As I said in some comments, her husband is very much woe is me, so I'm sure him getting a chance to show how he was just so supportive as a husband was right up his alley. He ultimately was the one that took the video, added the music, and posted it on her page. In no uncertain terms, I told her that her husband is an idiot, lol, and that she should have probably asked someone else's opinion first. Heck, even her 13-year-old would have talked her out of shaving her head, for goodness sake, lol. And if you're shaving your head right now, you could be listening to full episodes of stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. It's the perfect shaving head entertainment.
Put that in the background of your video of shaving your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it to one of our lovely voices.
Right. There is a little bit more to the story, but what?
I know, what?
Husband,
Literally.
Hubby, what are you doing?
He's like, you know what? Maybe if you got more into it, you'd feel better.
Yeah. It's like, well, we don't want to put the camera back. What else could we do?
We can't technically, we're gonna have to wait a little while for the picture to come back. Maybe if it does.
If it does. But hopefully not.
But in the meantime, let's just shave our heads. You know what? Actually, let's just shave your head.
Yeah. OP needs to convince this husband to shave his head out of solidarity.
Yeah.
And keep it bald. She can grow hers out, but he needs to keep it bald.
Yeah, he needs to be bald now for life.
And like not even a buzz cut, but like bald.
For this like horrible
Put an
idea.
air on that
He
head.
needs to now be Mr. Clean.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Get the eyebrows too. Why not?
Ooh.
Go for it.
Ooh.
Go for it. Yeah, no, that's crazy. I think I had something else to say, but I forgot it. Anyway, we have more to this story. We spent a long time looking at pictures of celebrities who had shaved their heads and how they styled it as it grew back to help her. And I offered to go help her get some wigs if she wanted to as well. And that regardless, she is still beautiful and she can totally own a bald look. I also recommended that she speak to someone professional about what she's feeling. She agreed that this was a good idea and will start looking for someone. Ultimately, we're in a great place. And there are some final comments. Grumble Cake says, I'm glad you guys spoke and that she opened up to you. But yikes, does her husband have some kind of Munchausen thing going on? That part sounded very weird. OP said, so I tried to post it as a part of the update, but Ahmad yelled at me. Let's just say he and I had some choice words about it, and he knows never to pull that crap again. Another commenter says, whoa, how did he even try to defend it? OP says, LOL, I'd know if I would have let him get a word in, but I didn't. He just kind of sputtered and I just walked away. Another commenter says, I'm really happy you were able to help her feel better. This is a really wholesome update. Unfortunately, your cousin's husband acted like an idiot, but your cousin still is going through a lot emotionally, and I'm glad you're there to support her while she's going through it. Best of luck to you and your cousin. Opie says, I didn't think to put it all in the original post, but through all of her appointments, except for one or two, I was the one that was there. Her husband just always gave the excuse that he just can't leave work like that, and assured her that he would rather skip these appointments so that he can take the time off when she really needs him.
Well, she really needed you then. That's terrifying.
Yeah, what?
So instead, I'm going to just tell you to shave your head when you're really emotional and just feel lost.
Right. And then when you are really sad about having no hair. That's the time that she really needed him, was to shave her head. How could she do it herself? Come on.
That's true. How are you supposed to get the back? You can't see.
You can't. You don't want like an opposite mullet.
Oh, no, like
or an
patches?
intense mullet where it's just bald and then really long hair in the back.
Ooh.
As a gaslit wife, I can see where she would have thought that he was doing it for her benefit, but as third parties looking in, we can see how much of an incomparable butt it makes him. I didn't bring up her marriage at this point. She has enough on her plate. I did have some words with him myself, though. If I ever see this happening again, I'm intervening on her behalf. Otherwise, I will wait until she seems to be doing better and then maybe suggest she consider whether this marriage is beneficial for her and a good model for her daughter. Coffee Historian says, what a knucklehead! If his wife didn't need him during her appointments, when in the world would she actually need him? I hope she leaves him and finds someone better. Opie says he claimed he would take off when she got sick so he could take care of her and their daughter while she recovered, which he would have known she wasn't going to get sick if he would have just gone in the first place so he could understand her treatment plan. He did take off the day of and after her surgery, since they were a Thursday and a Friday, but he's been in his job for years, so I know he's got more than 2 PTO days, and I was also there both of those days during the hours that my kids were at school, but he helped sponge bathe her, and that was pretty much the entirety of his contribution. And that's the end of that story.
My cousin demanded I shave my beard for his wedding, and I don't want to.
I ain't shaving my beard for no one.
I, a 30-year-old male, was asked a few days ago to be in my cousin's wedding party as one of his groomsmen for his wedding in April. I was excited to be asked, as I have never been part of a wedding procession prior to this. And by the way, this comes from user Chicken Oddball. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Keon.
And we are here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know the things we know. So let us know the things you know that we don't in the comments. And OP says, my family is Mormon, though I am not. And it is widely known in my family that I am no longer a part of the church or many of its traditions. In some ways, I feel that my personal choice to leave the Mormon church is reason enough for my family members not to ask me to be a groomsman, best man, or anything similar. My sister barely had me in her wedding for that reason, but I will provide more details on that later. He called me on the phone to ask if I'd be willing to be a groomsman, and I immediately said yes. Like I said, I was excited. He's one of my closest extended family members along with his sister, as we grew up in close proximity to each other. After he asked me, he shared details about the wedding, our mutual friend and best man's bachelor party ideas, suit and tie colors, and other minor details. Nothing too crazy. Until he snuck in this sentence at the end. Oh, and all the groomsmen are to be clean-shaven. Everyone else has agreed to shave for the wedding already, so you're the last one I need to tell. I went silent. My body went cold and my face got hot. I didn't know what to say. I'm 6 foot, a little chubby, with a long, full brown beard that I have kept up for nearly a decade. I spend upwards of $600 a year just on my beard upkeep. What on earth
Well, okay, so like,
are we talking
Are you
about?
part of
okay,
ZZ Top?
we're
I want to
talking
see this
about
beard.
like, let's say products. So I'm thinking like a curly hair product routine or something.
beard
Keon,
oil.
do you use like a lot of products for your hair?
Yeah, a couple.
Okay, so like
yeah.
roughly how much are the products you use for your hair like a month?
Oh, no, usually it lasts long enough to be like a couple months, but I would say I would spend about $50 on these said products, so it probably lasts me at least a couple months.
So it's like you're spending like 200 max a year, or no, maybe like 300 max a year? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say around that. Depending if
Okay.
I keep my hair long, if I cut it, probably not. I don't need a hair product if I cut my hair.
Yeah. And then I don't know if he's cutting his beard. I'm assuming he's cutting his beard himself, so we're not talking about like that. So maybe he just has really expensive products for his beard.
I'm
No, there's
imagining
beard
he goes
oil.
to like a
Yeah.
There's
salon.
Like beard oil, what makes sense.
Beard
they, like,
oil and
steam
like
it.
keeping it clean and
That
like
sounds really
trimming
nice.
it.
They put little cucumbers on it,
That does sound really nice.
and they like
Yeah.
whisper to it. They're like, "You're a good beard. You're a really
So
good beard."
$600 is on the more expensive side, but it does make sense if you're like doing a lot of care for it.
I go to a barber who knows how to cut beards and keep it nicely structured and lined up. I don't want to say that I care more about my beard upkeep than the rest of my body, as I am an extremely hygienic person, but it is pretty dang close. I've kept it at about 7 inches for the last 6 months. I don't think I can shave my beard for your wedding, Daniel. After about 20 seconds, he said, "But I already told the other guys to shave, and they said they would." I started to get upset because with what he was telling me, not only did he know this would be a big deal for me, but them saying yes already felt like I was being pressured to shave or else I would not be part of the wedding. The last thing he said before he hung up was, "I strongly urge you to reconsider this, otherwise I'll have to rethink the number of groomsmen." I've been struggling with this because I'm so shocked that I was given this sort of ultimatum. The wedding is in a few months, so maybe he'll reconsider? I'm really hurt. I don't think I'll have another chance to be in another wedding party because my other cousins aren't as close to me or are already married. I was barely part of my sister's wedding. She was upset, and so were my parents, that I decided to leave a church that had emotionally mistreated me for over 2 decades. I was devout, wore my temple garments, and did everything I was supposed to do. When I decided to leave the Mormon church, my parents and sister saw it as a personal attack on them because I wouldn't choose family and keep my covenants that I made with God. This caused a substantial rift, and it was close enough to my sister's wedding that she wrote me out of her wedding party and the toasts, and I was supposed to sing with her and her husband at the reception. Being a part of this wedding with my cousin feels like one of the only times that I can be a part of any weddings in my family, but I don't think it's fair to be asked to do something so drastic to my body. Am I the a-hole for standing my ground and not shaving my beard? No.
No, you're not
No.
the a-hole. Not at all.
We have comments. Comment 1, not the a-hole, but you should respectfully drop from the party and attend as a guest. Those are the groom's wishes. And even if they are not reasonable to you or to Reddit, it is his wedding, and you shouldn't cause a fight and create more drama for him on his big day. It sounds like your cousin's wedding is a redo of your sister's one in your mind, but that's not the case. Also, I got an impression that the core issue is not the wedding, but that you crave more connection to your family. I would suggest to rather tackle this one and get overworked about being in the wedding party. Reply says, OP isn't the one creating the drama, the groom is. F this mindset that everyone has to bow to every whim of the bride and groom on their big day. What if the bride asked all the bridesmaids to shave their heads?
Then the bridesmaids say, no, I don't want to be your bridesmaid.
Comment 2. It is honestly weird why people can even feel entitled to ask somebody to change their body and appearance for a wedding. Dress code is one thing, but shaving your head or beard or changing the color of your hair or covering tattoos or losing or gaining weight, this type of demand is completely ridiculous. Not the a-hole. Comment 3 says, not the a-hole, but my suspicion is that this is actually an attempt to draw you back into the church. At least get you groomed appropriately, not to mention testing whether you'll submit to their demands in the name of family unity, and participating in a family event. And then maybe they can make further inroads to get you back. And we do have an update.
Oh boy.
I appreciate every single one of you for responding. It meant a lot to see your comments and opinions. I meant to reply to some of you to explain my relationship with my family a little better, and with the Mormon church, but I forgore. I've been stressed at work, and I'm in the middle of moving my girlfriend into my apartment. Don't tell my family, or else they'll say I'm going to spooky Mormon. My parents and sister are devout Mormons. When you get married in the Mormon church, you have a private ceremony with full-fledged church members only, and a reception afterward. The reception is the larger affair for the whole family. Anyone who has been in or close to churchgoers may understand this. I was disallowed from participating, besides a couple of photos during the reception part of my sister's wedding. I felt it was a public display of my family's contempt for my choice to distance myself from the church. I am in contact with them and have dinner or holidays occasionally, but we're on rocky ground after this whole debacle. Daniel and his fiancée Tanya are active members. Daniel and I have been very close from early childhood and have many mutual friends because of this. A lot of my hurt and confusion comes from this, and I neglected to mention it before. My invitation to their wedding party as a groomsman includes helping plan the bachelor party, buying things to decorate their wedding car, and delivering a toast, as an open mic would take too long. This is more than what I was allowed to do at my sister's wedding. On to the update regarding my current dilemma. My cousin Daniel called me again. He had discussed my beard with his fiancée and his parents during dinner over the last weekend. The consensus was that he was being unreasonable, and if I keep myself presentable with a nice trim, I should be able to keep my beard for the wedding. Well, would you look at that?
Well, it seems like there was another way.
If that isn't a twist, if I've ever seen
There's
one.
always a third door.
In my mind, I had thought that she pressured him to ask the groomsman to shave because not only did I not know her well, I thought I knew my cousin well enough to be a reasonable person. I had met her once at a movie night with him and some mutual friends. I thought she was a very lovely person and a great match for Daniel. Besides that, I hardly knew her. After a long talk, I took some advice from a couple of you and offered not to take part in the wedding and reception. I genuinely would be uncomfortable if I upset anyone at their own wedding. He declined my offer and told me that having me as a groomsman was more important than me shaving my beard.
Well, there you go.
And by the way, you never have to shave your beard or any other part of your body. To listen to full episodes with stories like this on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever, just search OK Storytime, and you're in. He admitted that he was worried that I would keep it scraggly and unkempt, which I suppose is understandable. I ultimately assumed this was the cause for concern. I let it grow for weeks at a time sometimes if I'm not going anywhere fancy. But I remember getting it cut and seeing him and our friends shortly after a couple of times. I had more questions, but ultimately I felt relieved and did not want to poke holes to get more answers as to why I needed to shave in the first place. I feel the issue is resolved. With a trim, I will be a bearded groomsman for my cousin's wedding. I don't plan on updating, so I'd like to say again thank you to those who commented. It meant a lot that you were kind enough to offer an opinion when I felt I was at a crossroads with all the issues I have with my family already.
And that is the end of that
Heck
story.
yeah, lovely.
Thankful little guy.
Yeah.
With a big old beard.
I love how it ended. All's well that ends well.